Extracting World of Warcraft skills in American comics. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, The End of the War. In the Sky Carrier, a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents stared at the screen in amazement, their mouths wide open. Nick Fury clenched his fists, his eyes showing fear. This guy's really strong. This should be a human nuclear weapon. If he goes crazy, the world may disappear in the blink of an eye. Do we still need to find the power to deal with him? Can she deal with this guy? Nick took out something and clenched it in his hand, thinking of the woman who rushed into the sky. Maybe he still had to get in touch with him. Making friends is the only option. In the Dark Universe, a spaceship was docked at the entrance of the space channel, and countless steel worms were flying around the spaceship and flying towards the space channel. At this moment, a purple lightning leaped from the space channel, and a purple light lit up in the Dark Universe, illuminating an area around the channel. The lightning jumped to the nearest steel worm in an instant, and a piece of purple light shone, splitting the worm into ashes, and then continued to jump forward. After a few breaths, the lightning chain chopped all the steel worms into ashes, and finally jumped onto the spaceship. Boom. A white light flashed on the spaceship, and suddenly it exploded. Small lightning flashed on the fragments of the spaceship, and then all the fragments were chopped into ashes, as if they had existed. In the physiotherapy center, Uncle Kyan was watching the TV on the wall with Aunt May and other female family members, looking at the countless aliens that had been destroyed by lightning. Everyone's faces showed happy smiles. Cool. May is really cool. Peter, Gwen, did you see it? Danny waved his fist and watched the TV, shouting excitedly. Yes, May is really cool. One magic can get rid of them. Gwen hugged her mother and replied excitedly. Looking at the aliens that had been dealt with, the red baby who was standing at the door on guard turned and walked into the living room and then lay down under the sofa. The little chicken, this rubbish, only dealt with a few worms and said it was a phoenix, but it was really a weak chicken. If I were to go, I could kill dozens of them with a breath of dragon breath. The red dragon stared at the TV with his big eyes, and he kept looking down on the little chicken in his heart. On a block. Mei, that device. Natasha saw that the aliens had been dealt with, so she said to Mei Gan in the air. Mei Gan looked at the top of Stark building, then turned his head and stared at everyone and said with a smile, I will deal with it. This guy's Loki, who was looking at Mei Gan in fear, fell to the ground in fear. Everyone turned their heads and stared at Loki, who was sitting on the ground. I have abandoned the dark and joined the light. Iron Man, I want to drink that glass of wine first. Loki swallowed and said. Mei Gan floated to the ground and looked at these guys, ignoring them, and pointed the scepter in his hand, and his figure disappeared from the spot, and when he appeared again, he had already arrived at the top of Stark building. Looking at the device in front of him, Mei Gan took a few steps forward. That scepter. Mei Gan looked at Dr. Eric, who was speaking. Loki's scepter has the energy to close the channel. Eric continued. Mei Gan smiled and said, no, I can shut it down. Mei Gan walked towards the device covered by the blue light shield. He stretched out a hand and reached directly to the cosmic cube. Don't. Eric watched Mei Gan's action and hurriedly stopped him, but he saw Mei Gan's hand directly passed through the blue light shield and took the cosmic cube in his hand. The cosmic cube did not move at all, just like a normal cube that only lit up. How is this possible? Eric stared at Mei Gan holding the cosmic cube in amazement. As Mei Gan picked up the cosmic cube, the beam of light that shot up into the sky immediately disappeared in the air, and the space channel in the air was slowly closing. Mei, let's go back and eat barbecue. Pods and the others have already started grilling. Tony drove the Mark armor to the top of the Stark building and said. Okay. Mei Gan heard the words and looked at the space channel that had closed in the air, and then his figure disappeared on the spot. When he appeared again, he had already arrived on the street. However, they all forgot about Loki's scepter. At this moment, several men in suits picked up the scepter and put it in a box and left in a hurry. Not long after, Dr. Eric stumbled to the place where Loki's scepter fell. Looking at the empty ground, He shook his head, thinking that the scepter had been taken away by Mei Gan and others, and left. "Let's go, dear." Mei Gan took Audrey's hand and walked towards home. Nick said that the cosmic cube was given to Thor and others for safekeeping. Natasha came to Mei Gan and said, "No need, it's safer to keep the cosmic cube with me." Odin will agree, Mei Gan replied. "But how can I go back to Asgard? The rainbow bridge has not been repaired yet," Thor said with his eyes wide open. Mei Gan thought for a moment and said to Thor, "Tell me when you go back, I will send you back, and then give him something to help you repair the rainbow bridge." Okay. Thor didn't have any objections. He could actually repair the rainbow bridge and send him back. What else could he say? He couldn't beat him. After the chat, everyone was about to walk towards the block where they lived. Suddenly, Mei Gan stopped a few people and said, "Stop, it will take us at least an hour to walk back like this. I have asked someone to pick us up. Someone will pick us up when we walk out of this block." Tony, who was walking beside him in armor, replied to Mei Gan, "Too slow, come closer, I will take you back." Everyone came closer after hearing this. Seeing that everyone else was already around him, Mei Gan pointed the staff in his hand at the ground. Buzz, the blue magic circle appeared again, covering everyone. After a few breaths, a white light flashed. Everyone disappeared from the spot. Physical Therapy Center. A blue magic circle rose above the Physical Therapy Center. It startled Uncle Kyan and his group who were having a barbecue outside. Seeing this magic circle, Uncle Kyan and his group knew that Mei Gan and his group had returned. After all, they had just seen this magic circle appear on TV. Bang, the white light flashed again, and Mei Gan and his group appeared at the door of the Physical Therapy Center. Oh my god, this is really a journey every second. Touching the hair on the top of his head, Steve sighed. Ugh. However, the moment Tony appeared, he ran to the trash can beside him and vomited. "This Tony, you are actually dizzy with teleportation, Mrs. Mei. Next time I will vomit. I will never sit down." Ugh. Your teleportation. Sending magic. Ugh. Tony heard this and said while vomiting, "You are too weak, Tony. You should come to my shop for physical therapy more often. You haven't come recently. You always stay in your laboratory." Uncle Kyan walked to Tony's side, touched Tony's pulse and said, I will go in the next few days. Mei is back, so I will come back to live here. Otherwise, I always feel insecure." Tony, don't say it so ambiguously. Can't you see that my wife is already staring at you? Mei Gan walked to Tony's side and said softly, Audrey, I like Potts." Tony explained to Audrey while grabbing Potts, who ran over to support him. Audrey finally relaxed. Chapter 77 Life Manual. In the evening. Manhattan, the Big Apple. One by one, American soldiers are working with logistics personnel to clean up the ruins of the city. Wisps of black smoke are still rising from the ruins of several collapsed buildings. Looking down from the sky, there are few intact houses in Manhattan, all turned into ruins. And some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are actively shuttling through the ruins, as if looking for something. "Sir, we didn't find any alien debris, not even one," a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent said to the headset. "I know." The other side of the headset is Agent Hill in uniform. "Sir, there is no debris." Hill received the message and reported to Nick Fury in front. "I have guessed it. How could there be a piece of debris left after that guy took action?" Nick Fury waited for the remaining eye to reply. "Call them back." "Got it, sir." Hill heard the words and gave orders to the men on the other side through the headset. "By the way, has Coulson been sent over?" Nick thought of Coulson, who was stabbed by Loki, and asked Hill across from him. "Someone has been sent over, sir." "He can really revive Agent Coulson?" Hill asked with some doubt. "Think about his move today, and you won't doubt him," Nick Fury said with his hands behind his back, looking into the distance. "Although they should be able to revive Coulson themselves, it is something they cannot control after all. Since Mei can be resurrected, why waste an opportunity for S.H.I.E.L.D.? At the entrance of the physiotherapy center in the block, a group of people were sitting around several tables put together, chatting in groups of 3 or 4. Several Chinese chefs specially invited by Potts were diligently grilling various foods. The Stark group paid a lot of money to invite them. What's wrong with being diligent? Maybe there will be a chance to receive orders from the Stark group next time. The little chick was occupying a table full of food, which was specially rewarded by Tony. The guy had already spread out his wings and claws, and was quickly eating the food on the table. His eyes had narrowed into a slit. The chefs were not very surprised by the little chick. They had seen it on TV. This little chick could turn into a big bird. The red dragon stared at the little chick with disdain. It had been staring for a long time. Anyway, it was disgusted by this little chick now, which was a disgrace to their divine beasts. Tony, who had changed out of his mark armor, was holding little Sissy and teasing the little guy. He hadn't held little Sissy for a month, but Tony refused to let go tonight. He didn't eat much barbecue, but was teasing the little guy in his arms. And he didn't chat with the people around him. Tony was always very anxious. After all, he was the weakest among the crowd, so he could only upgrade his armor constantly, fearing that he would be left behind. He was such a proud person. How could he let himself be so much worse than these guys? He didn't want to watch them save the world by himself. Only when he saw little Sissy did he feel the peace of mind. Perhaps it was the innocent eyes of the child that made him feel at ease. Potts, don't you plan to have a child yourself? Putting down a bamboo stick, Audrey asked Potts beside her in a low voice. There is no movement in my stomach for the time being. In fact, I have been trying. I asked Kyan to see me a few days ago. Kyan said that there is nothing wrong with me. Maybe Tony is too weak, and he needs to take care of his body. Potts glanced at Tony, who was teasing little Sissy, and whispered to Audrey. This guy was too indulgent before. He was beaten once, and his vitality has not recovered yet. Mei Gan took a bite of the chicken wing in his hand and said lightly. Then he thought about it, and took out a book that looked like chocolate from his pocket. It was a small book, the size of a palm, with a panda head on the cover. She handed the small book to Potts, and said to her, give it to him to eat, and then ask him to transfer 2 million to you. This is a book, can you eat it, Mei? Potts was stunned for a moment, then took the small green book, and asked Mei Gan in confusion. Don't worry, Potts, this is matcha flavored. I've eaten it before, and I feel that my physical fitness has improved a lot. Before Mei Gan answered, Audrey explained to Potts beside her. After hearing Audrey's explanation, Potts felt relieved. It tasted like matcha, and she wanted to take a bite just by hearing it. Potts handed the small green book to Tony, looked at Tony and said, this is Mei's gift, saying that it can improve your physical fitness. This is a book. Can books be eaten? Tony also looked at Mei Gan in confusion. If you don't want to eat it, give it back to me. If you eat it, you have to transfer 2 million to me. This is very rare, Mei Gan said with a roll of his eyes. Tony took the book and tried to take a bite. As soon as the book entered his mouth, it melted. The aroma of matcha instantly filled his mouth, and then the sweet taste spread on the tip of his tongue. It's quite delicious, Tony said after swallowing a mouthful. Remember to pay me, Mei Gan snorted coldly, and then reminded him. After a while, Tony finished eating all the books, and immediately felt warm in his body, as if something was spreading in his body, making him feel very comfortable. He couldn't help but want to scream, but thinking of so many people, he held back. Life manual. Improve the user's physical fitness. The worse the physical fitness, the more obvious the improvement. In fact, the system often extracts book type props. Mei Gan has eaten a lot, otherwise how could he get close to kill the Abomination? Mei, do you have any more? Give me a few more. Tony felt the warmth on his body, licked his lips, and said to Mei Gan. No, you think it's easy to get it. Mei Gan glanced at Tony, and put down a bamboo stick. I can add more money, 5 million a copy, Tony said, opening his palm to Mei Gan. Mei Gan was tempted when he heard the 5 million that came out of Tony's mouth. But he looked at little Sissy in Tony's arms and reluctantly refused. No more. Even 10 million is no more. Some of the prunes had to be kept for little Sissy, and when little Sissy's physical fitness became stronger, some would be taken for Audrey. Okay. What a pity. Tony thought about it, and felt the same way. How could such a good thing be made casually? When I get more, I will sell it to you. Mei Gan did not say anything final. He would sell another copy to Tony when there was more. Anyway, they couldn't figure it out, so they could only eat it themselves. But looking at this guy's look, you can tell that he definitely wants to buy a copy for pots to eat. On the other side, Thor was chatting with Johnny with great interest. He was asking how Johnny got rid of Mephisto's contract. Mephisto is dead, Thor. Johnny said to Thor. Dead? How is that possible? He is a powerful devil. Thor was stunned for a moment, then said in disbelief. Yes, it was Mei who killed him. Last time he came to Earth, he met Mei and was hammered to death by Mei. I saw it with my own eyes. Johnny pointed to the dried plums eating roasted eggplant. What fuck? Mei is so powerful. Thor swallowed. Chapter 78 Death. Night. The crescent moon has already climbed up to the sky, and the white moonlight is sprinkled on the ground. On the block, a police car drove in from the street in trance. It was George who came back. Manhattan was so busy today, and this guy was so busy, that he just came back now. The police car stopped, the door opened, and George dragged his exhausted body out of the car. Daddy, come here quickly. Gwen looked at George, who got out of the car, raised a chicken wing, and waved to George. Seeing his daughter, George smiled and hurriedly walked towards the people who were eating barbecue and drinking wine. George, you can actually come back tonight, Natasha joked with a smile. Don't say it. I'm so tired. I'm back to rest, and I have to go out early tomorrow. He took a chicken wing handed by Gwen, and sat down and said, now the whole beautiful country knows you. How do you feel, superheroes? George asked Steve and others. We are just here to watch. You have to ask Mei how she feels. Mei took care of all those guys by herself. Steve pointed at Mei Gan, who was still eating heartily. Don't look at me. I'm just doing the job for money. By the way, Natasha, when will Luden bring my reward? Mei Gan took the tissue that Audrey handed to him. You have to ask him. I don't know, Mei, but it should be given to you soon. Natasha shrugged. By the way, I shouldn't have gone at the beginning. I just took care of 2 aliens, and then sat on the motorcycle to watch Mei's performance. Johnny took a sip of wine and said depressedly, you should feel honored to watch Mei's big performance at such a close distance. Johnny, Banner joked with a smile. Don't do that, Mei. Next time you want to make a move, just tell us, and we won't go. Just prepare the wine and food at home. Johnny raised his glass to Mei Gan, and said to her, Johnny, the most depressed person is not you, but Blade. He just got on a plane from Washington to help. He is still on the plane, and is flying back. Mei Gan thought about the information he received at noon, and couldn't help laughing. Everyone laughed when they heard it. Wow. Blade should be cursing his mother, Steve said with a smile, while hugging Linda beside him. And at this moment, 2 cars drove into the block, and stopped in front of everyone. Everyone looked curiously. The truck behind opened, and several S.H.I.E.L.D. agents pushed a medical bed out of the truck. It was Coulson lying on the truck. Everyone saw it, and hurried to meet him. Mr. Mei, the commander asked me to push Commander Coulson over here. A S.H.I.E.L.D. agent walked up to Mei Gan and said, okay, just put him here. Mei Gan took the medical bed, and looked at Coulson lying on it in front of him. Coulson's face was pale and his body was stiff. He felt cold before he got close. Mei, can Coulson be revived? Natasha asked Mei Gan with red eyes. Don't worry, as long as there is a body, I can revive him, even if he has been dead for a month. Mei Gan waved his hand, and said to Natasha easily, then I'm relieved. Everyone was relieved after hearing this, and then looked at Mei Gan with some shock. He must be a god, if he can be revived, after being dead for a month. Thor looked at Mei Gan in surprise. This guy was more like a god than himself. He could even revive people. He still didn't believe it in his heart, and didn't say anything, just watched from the side. Don't come around, get out of the way first, there may be accidents later, don't get hurt. Mei Gan waved to everyone, and asked them to move away. Although he could revive Coulson, it was after all to snatch the soul from death, so he had to be cautious. He was not afraid, but these guys couldn't stand the gaze of death. Mei Gan took out the paladin's long-handled warhammer, and stood in front of Coulson's bed. How can a wizard like Mei hold a warhammer? Thor asked Johnny beside him with some confusion. I don't know either, let's wait and see. Johnny was also confused. Mei Gan held the warhammer with both hands and held it upright in front of him, muttering in his heart, "Resurrection, resurrection slash resurrection, the ultimate skill of the paladin. Let the dead units with intact corpses be resurrected, and the number of resurrected units is determined by magic power. Unlike in the game, only 6 units can be resurrected, but the system does not limit the number of units, and as long as there is an intact corpse, you can be resurrected. As long as the head is not cut off, only half of the body is left, and the broken hands and feet are not counted." As soon as Mei Gan finished speaking, a golden beam of light fell from the sky and fell towards Carlson on the bed. The golden beam of light illuminated the entire block in gold. Every house seemed to be wearing a golden dress. The golden beams of light all gathered towards Carlson's body. Carlson, who was pale, slowly became rosy, and his stiff body began to soften. In a dark space, a beautiful woman in a black robe was sitting on a throne. She closed her eyes tightly, like a sleeping beauty who had been sleeping for countless years. Suddenly, the woman opened her eyes, and her black eyes without whites looked in one direction. "Who is trying to steal my soul?" the woman said, and a black hole appeared. The woman stretched out a hand to explore the black hole on the block. At this moment, a hole appeared in front of Mei Gan, and a huge skeleton hand without any flesh and blood stretched out from the hole, grabbing Mei Gan and Carlson. The skeleton hand was wrapped in black energy. A breath full of death came over. "It's coming," Mei Gan muttered, holding the long-handled hammer in his hands tightly with both hands. Then he blasted the hammer straight at the skeleton hand. Holy light, Mei Gan's words fell, and a golden light emerged from the warhammer and hit the skeleton hand head-on. Sizzle, sizzle, just like flesh and blood soaked in sulfuric acid. A sizzle sound was heard, and then a burst of black smoke appeared on the edge of the skull hand. The edge of the skull hand slowly melted, and the holy light was about to spread to the entire skull. However, the skull hand just stopped where it was, and then quickly retracted towards the hole without a pause, as if it had seen something terrible. Then the hole was, as if it had been smoothed out by something, as if it had never appeared. How did it escape so fast? I haven't even used any strength yet. Mei Gan thought it would take some effort to deal with death, but who knew she would escape so fast? In the dark space, Death looked at his skull hand that was corroded a little, his eyes full of panic. Fortunately, I ran fast, otherwise it would have melted. Who is this guy? Death muttered, and then the black death energy brushed over his skull hand, and everything returned to normal. This guy won't come here, will he? I have to remember this breath. I won't be scared back when he comes to snatch souls. That would be embarrassing. Death thought with one hand supporting his head. Don't think about it anymore. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. After talking to himself, he closed his dark eyes. Chapter 79. Odin. On the block, the round black hole disappeared. Carlson, who was lying on the hospital bed, slowly opened his eyes. After thinking for a moment, he sat up quickly and saw a group of people surrounding him. Everyone looked at the resurrected Carlson, and their expressions were a little excited. This is resurrection. Is that skeleton hand just now the god of death? Mei can actually snatch Carlson's soul back from the hands of the god of death. It's amazing. You must have a good relationship with Mei. After all, everyone will die one day. If you have a good relationship with Mei, won't this give you an extra life? Death is always the most terrifying thing. Is this hell or heaven? Are you dead too? Carlson looked at everyone in confusion and said, "Bang, you are dead, you guy. I resurrected you with good intentions, just to let you curse me." Mei Gan knocked on Carlson's head and said angrily, "It hurts. Ah. It hurts." "I'm not dead." Carlson covered his head and suddenly woke up and shouted, "Are you still feeling uncomfortable, Carlson?" Natasha walked up to him, helped him stand up and said, "No, I feel great. Mei, you saved me. Thank you." Carlson touched his body and felt that he had not lost anything, then thanked Mei Gan. "You're welcome. Anyway, your boss paid you." Mei Gan waved his hand and said, turned around and walked towards the table, ready to continue eating. Everyone saw that Carlson was fine, and all dispersed, and went back to drink. "Mei, what was that just now?" Steve asked Mei Gan, thinking of the skull hand that exuded the breath of death just now, and still felt a little uncomfortable. Hearing Steve's question, everyone pricked up their ears to listen. Such a powerful guy. Everyone's curiosity was aroused, and their eyes all looked in Mei Gan's direction, including Thor, the god of thunder. I think you'd better not know. It's not good for you to know too much. Mei Gan paused holding the roasted lamb, and then replied, as if nothing had happened. Mei, tell us something. We humans know too little about this universe. It's good to know more. At least we know how to prevent it. Carlson just learned what happened before from Natasha, and said, do you really want to know? Mei Gan saw the curious eyes of the crowd, thought for a while and asked, yes, tell me. Tony urged Mei Gan. In fact, it's useless for you to know. They shouldn't come to the earth. Even if they come, I'm here. I really want to fight them, but the noise may be a bit loud, and the earth may be destroyed by accident. Mei Gan said, after taking a bite of mutton. Everyone felt sweat dripping down their heads when they heard it. Are you sure you are not bragging? If you destroy the earth, it may be difficult to destroy the beautiful country. Seeing that no one spoke, Mei Gan knew that they believed, so he continued, the one who just stretched out his hand is death. She is the god who symbolizes death, the embodiment of death, and the owner of all souls. After you die, your souls will belong to her. She is the source, creator and manipulator of all the life that was born when the universe was created. By the way, she is a woman. You can go and tease her to see if you can get eternal life. Mei Gan smiled strangely at everyone after he finished speaking. You should know that in other universes, Deadpool teased death, and then Thanos, the purple potato spirit, cursed him to immortality. Death, the creator god, how could I not know? Thor looked at Mei Gan with some doubt and said, you can ask your father, he should know. Oh, when you ask, remember to remind your father that you are not asking the goddess of death Hela. Mei Gan looked at Thor and Loki, who was being held at the door of the physiotherapy clinic, and said with a smile, who is Hela, the goddess of death? Are there two goddesses of death? Johnny asked, touching his confused head. He should be considerate of his low IQ. After all, he didn't read much, and could only ride a motorcycle. Hela, the goddess of death, is the sister of these two guys, the eldest daughter of Odin. Mei Gan pointed at Thor and Loki. Don't talk nonsense, Mei. When did I have a sister? I haven't heard my father and mother mention it for so many years. Thor said with a displeased look. You guy, do you think you can slander me just because you can't beat me? If you don't believe it, you can ask your father. You have a sister named Hela, who is your father's first child. She also helped your father conquer the 9 realms, and once. Dear magician, can you not tell Thor and the others about Hela for now? He is not strong enough now, and cannot face Hela. Mei Gan was popularizing Hela's deeds, and suddenly a mental force fell, and an old voice came to his ears. Mei Gan quickly used his mental power to find the source of the sound. In Asgard, a one-eyed white-haired old man wearing golden armor was sitting on the throne. The old man closed his only remaining eye. As if he sensed the arrival of Mei Gan's mental power, he quickly opened his eyes. A phantom appeared opposite Odin, which was Mei Gan's mental power. Looking at the figure that appeared in front of him, Odin remembered the scene of hell being pierced that day. This was a guy who was so powerful that he was terrifying. He had to be respected. If he offended him, he would die without knowing how he died. It didn't matter if he died, but it would be bad to implicate Asgard. After all, he was about to die. Odin, yes, Mr. Magician, I hope you don't tell Thor Hela about it first. Odin stood up and stared at Mei Gan. Since you don't want Thor and the others to know, then I won't tell them. You are dying soon. Mei Gan looked at Odin and said, yes, Ragnarok is coming soon, and I can already feel my end. Odin sighed and said with some reluctance, if you leave, your eldest son may not be able to support Asgard. Yes, so, respected magician, can you help me take care of my 2 useless sons? This is a request as a father. In return, you can go to my treasure house and choose any 2 treasures, okay? Odin begged. He didn't want Asgard and his 2 sons to die. The only one who could save them was this magician who could penetrate hell. Now they just happened to know each other again. Odin no longer had the domineering and majestic power he had in the past. Now there was only the love of an old man or a father for his children. Mei Gan thought about it, and then replied, okay, the eternal fire and gloves in your treasure house are mine. Okay, thank you very much, respected magician. Odin bowed to Mei Gan and said, okay, remember to tell Thor, when he comes back, that I will come to help him. When Hela comes out, I will take those two things away. I just want to put a mark here. I will leave first. Goodbye, Mr. Magician. Odin nodded and said to Mei Gan. Mei Gan touched the golden palace with his hand, and an invisible magic mark of Odin merged into the palace. Chapter 80. Isn't this reasonable? In a dim room, several screens were hung on the wall, and a figure appeared on each screen, while Nick was standing in the middle of the room. Where are the Avengers now, especially the Chinese? The white-haired old man on one of the screens asked Nick. Sir, you should be able to find out where they live. I think they should have a holiday. Nick Fury said with his arms folded. What about the cosmic cube? A female voice came. In the safest place, no one can get it, and we won't touch it again. Nick thought for a while and said, this is not something you can decide, Nick. One of the bald men looked at Nick seriously and said, are you going to rob it? Sir, if you don't want the whole world to suffer from the lightning attack like last night, then you can try it. Nick showed an ugly smile and looked at the people on the wall. That Chinese. The bald man's pupils shrank when he heard the words, and he frowned and muttered. Then he continued, where is Loki? That war dealer, he must be punished. As if to get back the dissatisfaction of being intimidated by Nick just now, the white-haired old man said to Nick seriously, I believe he will be brought to justice. Those Avengers are very dangerous. You put them together in the center of the Big Apple. The whole world knows they are dangerous, but we will need them in the future. Nick turned around and left the room. The next day, in the morning, the sun rose high and the sunlight fell. A new day began. People walked out of the door one after another and started a busy day for food and clothing. After returning from their honeymoon, Mei Gan and Audrey started another day of walking on the street. Pushing little Sissy, the two walked slowly and breathed a slightly better air in the morning. Last night, everyone ate barbecue and drank wine until the early morning before going back to rest. The prepared ingredients were all used up, and most of them went into the little chicken's stomach. The air at the seaside is still better. The air in the city is really not that good, Audrey said with emotion. Honey, do you still want to live by the sea? Mei Gan turned his head and looked at Audrey and asked. No, dear, don't think too much. I'm just saying it casually. Audrey hurriedly explained. When she heard Mei Gan's words, she thought Mei Gan was going to find Nick to make money again. Really? I made a lot of money last night, enough to buy a luxurious beach villa. Mei Gan said with a smile. I really don't want to. It's hard to find someone to talk to when you live by the sea. Although the environment here is not so good, when you are bored, there are Natasha and others to accompany you shopping or chatting. Audrey shook her head and refused. Okay, it's okay if you like it. If you change your mind and want to change the environment, just tell me. Mei Gan touched Audrey's soft long hair. Knowing you is the luckiest thing in my life, Mei. Audrey looked at Mei Gan with emotion and said with tenderness in her eyes. Silly, it's good to be your fool. Audrey said with a smile and hugged Mei Gan's arm tightly. This made Mei Gan feel warm in his heart. Half an hour later, the two pushed the stroller and said sweet words as they rushed back. But everyone was gathered at Steve's door, talking about something. Mei Gan and the others walked a few steps forward and saw Thor leading Loki, who had his hands handcuffed together and a mask on his mouth. What are they doing together? Audrey asked in confusion. They should be seeing Thor off home, Mei Gan said as she watched Thor grab Loki's arm. I forgot that today is the day Thor and the others go home, Audrey said with sudden realization. Let's go. It seems Thor is in a hurry to go home. Mei Gan patted Audrey on the back and said. After that, he took Audrey and pushed the stroller towards the crowd. Mei, you are finally back. I have been waiting for you for a while. Thor saw Mei Gan and hurriedly pulled Loki forward and said. Why are you in such a hurry to go back? Have you had breakfast yet? I just had breakfast. I have to go back to fix the Rainbow Bridge. It has been broken for a long time. If it is not fixed, something will go wrong again. Thor replied while stroking his golden hair. Okay. Mei Gan let Audrey push the stroller and took Thor to a more open place. Remember to ask your father to take care of the two things I want. I will get them next time. Mei Gan instructed Thor as they walked. What are they? Thor asked in confusion. You can ask your father. He knows. Okay. You all like to play dumb. Thor shrugged. Mei Gan smiled when he heard this, but did not respond. He took the two to a slightly more open place. Mei Gan stopped, stretched out his right hand, and the magic power in his hand surged. A small house-like thing with a red top appeared in Mei Gan's hand. There were several steel pipes hanging on the side of the small house, which were constantly shaking in Mei Gan's hand. Take it. Mei Gan handed the small house in his hand to Thor. This is. Thor took the small house from Mei Gan's hand and asked in confusion. Pocket factory. This is something that can repair the Rainbow Bridge. When you return to Asgard, put this small factory next to the Rainbow Bridge, and it will help you repair it by itself. Mei Gan explained. Pocket factory. It is the skill of the neutral hero Goblin Tinker. In the game, the pocket factory produces bombers, and the bombers will explode when they die, causing damage to the surrounding enemies. But the effect extracted by the system is like this. Produce a pocket factory that automatically produces a machine goblin, and the machine goblin has two skills, repairing buildings and self-destructing. Originally, there was no repairing of buildings in the game, but as a tinker, isn't it reasonable to have a repair skill? Just like a car mechanic always carries a wrench. This skill was just extracted during the short time of the honeymoon. If Mei Gan had this skill earlier, he would not be afraid that someone would destroy his house, and he could repair his own physiotherapy center in minutes. In the future, he would not be afraid, and he could also find someone to extort some money. Ahem. How can it be called extortion, or claim compensation? Is it so magical? Thor said in surprise. You will know if you try it. Once the Rainbow Bridge is repaired, it will disappear by itself. Mei Gan explained again. Thor held it in his arms, as if he was holding a treasure. And this. Mei Gan handed a scroll to Thor. Thor took the scroll, and waited for Mei Gan's answer without asking. This is the scroll. To return to the city. I have marked it in Asgard. You can return to Asgard by tearing the scroll later. Mei Gan explained to Thor. Okay, Mei, please remember to come to Asgard when you are free. I will take you to see the scenery of Asgard. Thor thanked Mei Gan. I will go back, and you will entertain me when the time comes. Mei Gan smiled and replied. Guys, it's a pleasure to fight with you. I will go back first. See you, Thor said after nodding to Steve and the others. After Thor finished speaking, he put half of the scroll in Loki's hand, and the two of them tore it apart. Suddenly, a blue magic circle appeared under their feet and above their heads. Bang, a white light flashed, and the two disappeared from the street. Chapter 81 Pocket Factory. In the Doom universe, the Doom starlight flickered in the distance, revealing the outline of this area. Countless meteorites floated in the universe like islands. A tall figure sat on a huge throne, holding his cheek with one hand and closing his eyes. Suddenly, a slender and elegant figure appeared, half knelt under the throne, and said respectfully to the figure on the throne, Master, the Asgardian and the Chirita rubbish failed, and humans destroyed all the Chirita soldiers. The gems brought by the Asgardian are still on the side of the earth. Master, what should we do next? The figure sitting on the throne opened his tightly closed eyes when he heard the words, and his purple skin looked so weird under the faint starlight. The tall figure stood up from the throne, turned his back to the slender figure kneeling on one knee, looked at a grey planet in the distance, smiled and said, Go get the other gems first, the earth will wait, we will come last. Yes, my master. The slender figure looked up and looked at the tall figure with purple skin with fanatical eyes. Asgard. In the palace where Odin was, the blue magic circle rose from the dome of the palace. The sudden movement alarmed the guards guarding the palace. The soldiers guarding the palace rushed to the palace with weapons in hand. Don't panic, it's nothing serious, it's just that Thor is back. You all go back to your posts. Odin felt the panic of the guards and spoke to comfort them. The panicked soldiers heard Odin's words, all stopped where they were, and returned to their posts. The blue magic circle dissipated, and Thor appeared in the palace with Loki. Father, seeing Odin on the throne, Thor hurriedly called respectfully. Thor, put your brother in jail, and give me the cosmic cube. I'm going to repair the Rainbow Bridge, Odin said to Thor. Father, I didn't bring the cosmic cube back. a magician in Midgard, collected the cosmic cube. He gave me something to repair the rainbow bridge. I don't know if it will work, Thor said as he took out the pocket factory. Someone, Odin shouted at the palace in trance. Soon, several soldiers in armor walked into the palace and knelt on one knee in front of Odin. Put the second Prince Loki in jail. Yes, my king. Several soldiers hurriedly dragged Loki away from Thor. Let's go. Thor, let's try what the magician gave you, Odin said to Thor. The broken part of the rainbow bridge. Odin brought Thor here. Odin turned and gestured to Thor. Thor quickly put the pocket factory in his hand gently on the ground. Just as the pocket factory was placed on the ground, the red pocket factory instantly grew larger, and in the blink of an eye it became a house about 2 meters high. Vibration sounds came from the red factory, and wisps of white smoke floated out of the steel pipe. A few breaths later, a grayish-white goblin robot more than 1 meter long holding tools walked out of the pocket factory. After the goblin robot came out, it walked towards the broken bridge. Half an hour later, hundreds of goblin robots were busy repairing the rainbow bridge. The goblin robots repaired very quickly, and in just over an hour, more than half of the rainbow bridge had been repaired. In another hour, the rainbow bridge should be completely repaired. This thing looks a bit ugly, but its function is really powerful, a muscular man next to Thor said in surprise as he looked at the goblin robot. Don't talk nonsense. A heroic woman next to him glared at the muscular man and scolded him. The muscular man quickly shrank his neck and stepped back a few steps. And Odin stared at the red pocket factory, not knowing what he was thinking. The next evening, Earth, Big Apple City, Block. Mei Gan was lying on the second floor balcony of the flower shop with his eyes closed, his face expressionless. Audrey was pressing Mei Gan's shoulders with a face full of grievance. Audrey said in a flattering tone, "Dear, are you satisfied with the strength?" This looked like she had done something wrong. Mei Gan didn't say anything, but just opened his eyes and glanced at Audrey beside him. When Audrey saw Mei Gan open his eyes, her aggrieved expression immediately turned into a flattering one. She used a little strength with both hands and said to Mei Gan in a coquettish voice, "Dear Humph." Mei Gan snorted coldly with an unhappy look on his face. "Dear, I won't dare to do that again." Audrey let go of the hand that was pressing her shoulder, hugged Mei Gan's arm, and put it in her arms, rubbing it constantly and shouting in a coquettish voice, with a shy look on her face, "Ahem. Let's see if you dare to abandon us, father and daughter." Mei Gan had to use dry coughs to cover up his expression that was about to collapse. "I don't dare, dear," and quickly increased the power of the flat attack. Megan surrendered immediately. This morning, Megan and Audrey took little Sissy to the Trident headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D to collect their award. Who knew that when Audrey saw the Quinjet that she hadn't driven for a long time, she got excited and drove the transporter away directly without even noticing that Megan and little Sissy hadn't boarded the plane yet. At that time, Megan, Nick, and Natasha all looked at the transporter rising into the sky in confusion. Watching Audrey driving the Quinjet and disappearing from their sight with a long tail, even Natasha, Audrey's best friend, couldn't stand it. Natasha also said that Megan and Audrey should divorce. It was obvious that she didn't care about Megan and little Sissy, and she flew away without even looking at whether they got on the plane or not. Natasha said that she was different and would definitely treat them well, and she said a lot of nonsense. As expected, every woman's best friend is good at prying people off. Fortunately, Mei Gan's corner is made of steel, and Natasha's hoe can't pry it off. It was not until Audrey drove the transport plane to the square of the neighborhood park where they lived that Audrey realized that Mei Gan and the others were not on the transport plane. This scared Audrey. In order to teach this woman a lesson, Mei Gan put the transport plane into the system backpack and specially gave little Sissy to Aunt Mei to help look after it, and then prepared to ignore this woman for 2 days. Who knew that he would fail after just a few hours? As expected, a beautiful woman who knows how to act coquettishly is the most difficult to deal with, and even a straight man may become a soft man. You left your husband and daughter behind and flew away by yourself. You are really good. Haven't I touched the Quinjet for a long time at that time? I was very excited and thought I was still an agent. I drove away in a hurry, Audrey said in a delicate voice. Speak nicely. Mei Gan shuddered and shouted after hearing the spoiled voice. I understand. At most, we can fly a transport plane to the sky tonight and I will compensate you. Is that okay? Audrey licked her lips and whispered in Mei Gan's ear. Ahem. I forgive you this time. Mei Gan didn't know what inappropriate scenes appeared in his mind. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 80. Could this be the legendary Son of Heaven? In the early morning, after breakfast, we saw construction vehicles driving into the block. These were the construction teams of the Stark Group. A few days ago, when everyone was drinking and chatting in the veteran tavern, they happened to talk about the old facilities in the block. Tony, the capitalist, decided on the spot that he would be responsible for all the facilities in the block. He had long wanted to replace those facilities that had been used for who knows how many years. But everyone was not happy. After all, no one's money came from the wind, so why should you be responsible? Then Steve suggested that those who have money should contribute money and those who have strength should contribute strength. Finally, after everyone's heated discussion, it was unanimously decided that Tony had money, so he would pay the money, and everyone would contribute strength. Except for Plums, the safety facilities of the block would be left to him. He still has several ivory towers that he has not used. Originally, he planned to buy a farm or sell a villa after earning enough financial freedom and then use the ivory tower. Who knows, that plans can't keep up with changes. Now that we have settled here, there is nothing to keep. Let's use it after the facilities in the block are renovated. Today, the construction team moved in. When the construction vehicles arrived at the park in the block, they saw Stark, Banner, Johnny, and Kato wearing construction helmets and holding a pair of gloves and striding towards the park. Seeing that posture, Mei Gan, who was taking care of the children on the balcony, just wanted to laugh. This group of superheroes have become farm workers starting today, and the brick moving team is particularly powerful. Banner, remember to replace Hulk later. One Hulk is worth hundreds of them. Mei Gan said to Bruce Banner below with a smile on the balcony, and then looked at Johnny and shouted without waiting for Banner to reply. Johnny, don't let the skull come out, I'm afraid you will burn things. Hey, hearing this, several people raised an international gesture to Mei Gan on the balcony. Except for Steve. After all, he is a Marvel Moral Model Award winner. How could he raise an international gesture to Mei Gan? Mei, your belly is coming out. Let's go. Let's go exercise together. Steve hooked his finger at the gas and shouted. Please spare me. How can a lazy person like me go to work with you? I just want to lie on the recliner now. How could Mei Gan, a lazy guy who would rather sit than stand, go to help? By the way, why didn't Tony come to help take care of little Sissy today? I was thinking about taking a nap later. Audrey went shopping with Betty and the others. Men who take care of children can't afford it. Just after I finished thinking, a little hand grabbed my face. Fortunately, Mei Gan's face was thick enough and was not scratched by the little guy. It's all Tony's fault. He comes to hold little Sissy every day and holds her for more than an hour at a time. Now the little girl is very difficult to take care of. I have to play with her and hold her. She cries when I put her down. Looking at the little girl who is holding her mouth and wants to cry. It's a headache. I have to carry her around again. Now Mei Gan is a little envious of the super migrant workers who are talking and laughing. Why don't I go and help? An idea popped up in Mei Gan's mind, and then he quickly shook his head to get rid of it. Holding the little guy, Mei Gan walked towards the physical therapy center. Recently, the business of the physical therapy center has recovered a lot. Many fans of superheroes have been given the residence of Steve and others, and they have come to see their idols. Look, at the entrance of the block, a group of young men and women ran in, looking around with curiosity. Mei Gan saw them, and quickly quickened his pace, and ran to the physical therapy center. If they were recognized, they would not be able to get away. They had to sign a few names, and take a few photos, before they would let go. It was not easy to kill them, so he had to hide. It would be much better when the construction team opened 2 gates in this block. The decision was made when everyone discussed it last time. Recently, there have been many fans harassing, which made Steve and others very annoyed. They had to install 2 gates and hire a few security guards. But this security guard is probably an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D, and Nick would not trust others to watch the door. If the gate is installed, the business will start to be bleak again. If the gate is not installed, it will be annoying again. Fortunately, Mei Gan came up with an idea. As long as you open a card and recharge money at the physiotherapy center, you can enter the block. Otherwise, how can you make money? The physiotherapy center will have to close. Although Mei Gan is not short of that little money now. But after all, the shop has been open for several years, and he is still a little reluctant. Moreover, the group of rich women have come again recently, and Uncle Gan will have to bear it. Uncle Gan may be able to handle 2 women, but if several more come, Uncle Gan will be helpless now. Look, today Sophie and Eufemia both come to Uncle Gan for service. Thinking that Uncle Gan is surrounded by 4 women, and the 4 women are fighting under Uncle Gan's nose, Mei Gan is a little excited. I don't know if Sophie and the other 2 will be beaten to death by Jessica. Don't think about it. How can you think of Uncle Gan like this? Respect the elderly, don't expect it, but I still want to see it. Alas. This damn curiosity. Holding little Sissy, Mei Gan walked quickly to the physical therapy center. He was puzzled. Why was there no quarrel? Was the fight over so quickly? But Sophie and Eufemia had just arrived. Jessica was really ruthless. With a puzzled look on his face, Mei Gan walked into the physical therapy center. But he saw a scene that shocked him. Uncle Gan was sitting on the sofa with his left hand holding his guide stick, and Sophie, who was obviously thinner, was helping Uncle Gan peel an apple. Jessica stood behind the sofa and helped Uncle Gan pound his shoulders. Eufemia squatted beside Uncle Gan and was massaging Uncle Gan's thighs. From time to time, she accidentally touched the wrong place, causing Jessica to stare at her with a pair of eyes. But Aunt Mei was making tea, as if nothing had happened. There was still a smile on her face, and she didn't look angry at all. This Uncle Gan must have practiced the magic skills mentioned in the novel, or strengthened the skills in that aspect. Otherwise, how could there be women who would come up to him? There are 4 of them. Could this be the legendary son of heaven? Envy, jealousy, and hatred. This is too unfair, isn't it? Just that he looks better, and he is blind. My Audrey was saved by me twice, and we got together after knowing each other on the same street for a year. What virtue does Uncle Gan have? Okay, he is handsome. Behind the cashier, Peter and Evelyn were curiously looking at Uncle Gan and the other 5. Peter was not worried about Aunt Mei at all. This ungrateful wolf, Aunt Mei loved him so much. Facts have proved that no matter which country, people's curiosity is the same. Mei Gan held little Sissy and quietly moved to Peter and the others, and asked softly, Peter, what's going on now? Mei, I don't understand it either. These 2 rushed to serve the master as soon as they arrived, and Aunt Mei and Jessica were not angry. I don't know what's going on. Peter was also confused. Do you really think Aunt Mei and the others are not worried? It was just that, after seeing the 2's appearance, Aunt Mei put her heart at ease. How could these 2 crooked people compete with her and Jessica? She had discussed with Jessica that they would not quarrel or make a fuss, but would receive the 2 women like guests. Then Uncle Gan would feel sorry for them and would naturally stay away from them. The palace drama that Audrey introduced was not watched in vain. A smart woman should be like this. Chapter 83 Ball of Fire. At noon, Mei Gan walked out of the physical therapy center with a disappointed look on his face. Mei Gan stood with the little guy and Peter for more than an hour, but there was still no quarrel, which made Mei Gan very disappointed. You 2 women who are obviously stronger than Aunt Mei and Jessica, why are you so useless? Why don't you dare to fight? Uncle Gan will definitely stop them at that time, and he can see Uncle Gan's embarrassment. If a fight breaks out, Mei Gan will definitely stand on Aunt Mei's side. He is obviously jealous of Uncle Gan and wants to gloat over his misfortune. He didn't say a single harsh word, but just served Uncle Gan, and then asked Uncle Gan to serve them. More than an hour passed. It was just that Jessica glared at the 2 of them for several times, and then she was persuaded to go back by Aunt Mei. Aunt Mei smiled and greeted everyone throughout the whole process, which made Mei Gan have to admire her magnanimity. Let's go back to eat. It seems that Audrey will not come back for lunch at noon. This woman forgets everything when she goes shopping. Mei Gan shook his head and walked to the flower shop with the sleeping little sissy in his arms. Mei Gan returned to the flower shop and put the little one in the crib. Linda, who had just been looking after the flower shop, had gone back to the veteran tavern to cook. After all, Steve would have to go back to eat later. More than an hour later, Mei Gan had lunch and lay on the sofa in the flower shop. Turn on the system. Today's lottery has not been drawn yet. Let's draw the lottery first. System, start today's lottery. As soon as Mei Gan finished speaking, the turntable on the blue light screen started to spin rapidly. Stop. The pointer slowly stopped and stopped on a red round object. The 50-cent special effect appeared above the blue light screen again. No matter how many times he saw this special effect, Mei Gan always felt that this special effect was so bad. It can draw something, but your special effect can't be made more realistic. This dumb system feels really rubbish. Look at other people's systems. Either the system is licking the host, or the host is licking the system. It's nothing like his own. It can't even fart. Other systems can chat with the host, and will not scold the host. Alas. It is indeed a 3-no product. Mei Gan took out the item he had just drawn, and his eyes suddenly lit up. He had been drawing prizes for so long, but he had never drawn this thing. Today was the first time. Fireball. The carrier can cast a fireball to attack targets within 1000 meters. When it is within 10 meters of the attacked target unit, it will suffer splash damage. The carrier can also absorb the high temperature energy in any target. This is quite different from the game. There is no +5 attack, but there is an effect of absorbing energy. Fireball. It's the first time I've drawn it. Mei Gan sighed. In the past, he liked to use the dark ball the most when playing games. As long as he hit the dark ball, he would be happy for a while. The sword saint used the lightning ball, which was also good. Fireball is not bad. I don't know if the lightning ball can absorb the lightning energy in Thor's hammer. Playing with the fiery red ball in his hand, Mei Gan stretched out his hand, and a flaming ball appeared in Mei Gan's hand. Mei Gan withdrew the magic power facing the table. A hot air came towards him. The temperature of the fireball was still quite high, and the flowers on the table next to him had dried up. Just a little closer, a flower dried up in a few breaths. You have to know that the fireball is still 1 meter away from the flower. If it is still on the human body, it is estimated that a fireball can kill a person instantly. Puff. Mei Gan clenched his right fist, and the fiery red fireball extinguished and dissipated in the air. He kept playing with the fireball in his palm. Mei, did you turn on the heating? Why is it so hot? At this time, Audrey walked into the flower shop with several bags. After feeling the temperature in the flower shop, she asked Mei Gan. No, I just tried a magic item, Mei Gan explained to Audrey, holding the fireball. What is this? Audrey put down the bag in her hand, took off her high heels, and knelt on one leg on the sofa next to Mei Gan in black stockings, leaning forward and curiously looking at the fiery red beads in Mei Gan's hand. This is Gilu, Mei Gan said, while looking at Audrey beside him, and then stopped. This girl is testing the cards again, and it's daytime now. I have a child. Why can't I resist the temptation of this girl? Is it because I don't have enough willpower? What's wrong? Audrey looked at Mei Gan in confusion. Can you sit down properly? It's daytime now. If you do this to me at night, I have no objection, but the door is not closed yet. Mei Gan pointed to the long black silk leg between her legs. Then I'll give it to you at night. Heavy. Audrey looked at the posture of the two people. Her cheeks flushed and bent down to whisper in Mei Gan's ear. Mei Gan rolled his eyes upon hearing this and quickly used his magic to suppress his impulse, explaining to Audrey, this is called the fireball. Here, let me give it a try. He placed the fireball in Audrey's hand and continued, think of the little fireball in your heart. Audrey stepped back a few steps upon hearing this, and then thought of the little fireball in her heart as Mei Gan said. In an instant, a hot air rushed towards the two of them. In front of Audrey, a basketball-sized fireball was floating. The fiery red flames were jumping on the fireball. Am I a magician, Mei? Audrey said excitedly to Mei Gan. As long as you carry the fireball, you are a magician. Mei Gan walked up and hugged Mei Gan's slender waist and said, this is incredible. Can I make it move? Audrey pointed at the basketball-sized fireball and looked at Mei Gan. Of course, as long as you think about it, it can do what you want, only within 1,000 meters. I want to try. Audrey immediately walked towards the door excitedly. Mei Gan watched Audrey jump towards the door like a child who got a new toy, and the basketball-sized fireball followed her. Not long after, Audrey returned to the flower shop with excitement. She reluctantly gave the fireball in her hand back to Mei Gan. Why are you giving it back to me? This is for you to use, so you can protect yourself. Mei Gan pushed Audrey's hand back. No, Mei, I don't want it. You have given me a lot yourself. I can't keep asking for it, and I may not be able to protect it if you give it to me. Audrey sat next to Mei Gan and put the fireball in Mei Gan's hand and said. Mei Gan smiled slightly when he heard it and did not answer. He reached out to Audrey's neck and took out the ring. Mei Gan brought the fireball close to one of the guardian rings. A flash of red light flashed, and the flame ball shrank to a size smaller than the love guardian ring. Then Mei Gan firmly embedded the flame ball into the ring of the guardian ring. My dear, Audrey looked at the contents close to her, and her heart was moved. She had always been asking for things from Mei, and never gave anything in return. The magic ring, the money used in the family now was earned by Mei, and she didn't give out her own money. Now there is this magic fireball. Silly, you gave me a lovely baby, and you are all mine. What is there to separate us? Mei Gan gently touched Audrey's face and said softly. Chapter 84 Boy, you are sick. Night. Inside the veteran tavern. Everyone gathered together to drink and chat again. Several grown men sat at the bar and chatted. Tony was not there. He had not been seen since the night they discussed renovating the block. I heard from Potts that he seemed to have returned to the villa's research room to upgrade his armor. Mei, the block will be renovated tomorrow. Are your safety facilities ready? Steve asked Mei Gan. Wait until the construction team leaves and put the safety facilities in place. Mei Gan replied casually. We are looking forward to it. I wonder what kind of magic item it is. George replied as he looked at his wife who was chatting with Nadia. Chief George has been very busy these days. As the chief of the police station in the Big Apple, he has been assisting the logistics personnel in dealing with the ruins of Manhattan. Today, he finally got off work early, and he didn't even pick up Gwen and Peter. In the past, he would pick them up on the way home from get off work. You will know tomorrow. By the way, why haven't Peter and Gwen come back tonight? Mei Gan touched Uncle Kyan beside him and asked George. I didn't go to pick them up tonight. I heard there was a football game at school, so we agreed to go watch it together. George said after taking a sip. You're not afraid that your daughter will be kidnapped by Peter? You're really careless. What are you afraid of? If Peter kills Gwen, George can just take a gun and walk to the door. It's so close. Banner interrupted with a smile. The two little guys are quite a match. I really envy them. Steve sighed. I also like Peter. They have a good personality. Besides, I can't beat Kyan. George spread his hands and said jokingly. Don't meddle in children's affairs. If Peter does something wrong to Gwen, we can just hang him up and play mixed doubles. Uncle Kyan either doesn't speak or speaks harshly. If Peter was there, he would probably be scared to death. Not long after, Peter and Gwen came back, followed by two high school students who were about the same age as them. A boy dressed in famous brands. He looked gentle and sunny. The other one was a fat guy with dark skin and a silly smile on his face. Peter, is that the captain? And that one is the Black Widow with a great figure. Look who I saw. Harry, is that the Ash Wizard? He is the coolest. I'm his fan, Fatty Ned said in surprise, holding his head. I saw it too, Ned. Do you know which one is the Hulk and the Ghost Rider? They can both transform. You can't tell, but I like the Hulk the most. That green one is really cool. Harry's face was also excited. Don't shout yet. You sit down first. I'll get you food. Gwen patted the two people's heads and pulled them to an empty table and said. The two were pulled to sit down by Gwen and Peter, but the two pairs of eyes looked around curiously and occasionally peeked at Steve and the others at the bar. When Peter and Gwen brought the two in, Mei Gan had already noticed these two guys, Harry Osborn and Ned Leeds, how the two versions of the supporting characters got mixed together. So Mei Gan came to Peter's table with a glass of wine and looked at the two with interest. The two were frightened by Mei Gan's gaze. You have to know that this is the Ash Wizard who can deal with aliens, or Thunderbolt can turn the two of them into ashes. People will be scared when they are stared at like this. The title of Ash Wizard was given by Mei Gan's fans because Mei Gan's enemies turned into ashes as soon as he made a move, so he got this title. Mei Gan gladly accepted this nickname. At least it was not a messy night. He is not a superhero. He is just a paid person. Ahem. Mei, don't look at them like that. They are scared. Gwen put some food on the table, then sat next to Mei Gan and patted Mei Gan's arm and said, "Really? I'm very gentle, right, Peter?" Mei Gan raised his eyebrows at Peter opposite. "Yes, in this neighborhood, Mei is the easiest to talk to," Peter said perfunctorily. Mei Gan gave Peter a look of you know what's best for you after hearing this. "Well, Mr. Ash Wizard, can you help me sign an autograph? I'm your fan," Ned said with a red face, taking out a booklet and handing it to Mei Gan. "Of course, I'm happy to." Mei Gan smiled and took Ned's booklet, quickly signed his name and replied, "Thank you." Ned took the booklet Mei Gan returned to him and excitedly put it in his school bag. "What about you, Osborn kid? Do you want my autograph?" Mei Gan took a sip of wine and looked at Harry and asked, "Can I have an autograph from the Hulk, Mr. Wizard?" "I like the Hulk very much." Harry refused Mei Gan's autograph, but went to find the fat green guy to ask for an autograph. This kid really has no vision. He likes that green guy. No wonder both father and son are called Green Goblin in the future. "Kid, then you have to go find him yourself. I can't ask him to sign for you." Mei Gan shrugged. Harry turned to look at Peter immediately after hearing that. "Okay, I'll get it for you." Peter couldn't stand being looked at, so he got up and walked towards Banner. Not long after, Peter came over here with Banner's autograph and Uncle Kyan. "They are your good friends at school, Peter?" Uncle Kyan asked as he sat next to Mei Gan. "Yes, Master, this is Ned and Harry." Peter stood behind Uncle Kyan and introduced them to Uncle Kyan. "Harry, Ned, this is my master, Kyan." And then Peter introduced Uncle Kyan to the two boys. "Why are you here, Uncle Kyan?" "I came to see what friends Peter has made. It seems that these two friends are pretty good." Uncle Kyan nodded to the two people who were greeting him. Suddenly, Uncle Kyan turned his head in Harry's direction, then frowned, as if he had noticed something. He reached out and held Harry's wrist. "Master, you?" Peter asked in confusion when he saw his master's actions. "Don't talk." Uncle Kyan frowned and interrupted Peter's words, then quietly took Harry's pulse. "Boy, you are sick. A very serious genetic disease." After several minutes, Uncle Kyan said to Harry in a serious manner. Harry's face changed when he heard this. Peter's master must be a liar. He said that others are sick when he just met. If it weren't for Peter's face, I would have to sue you for defamation. Mei Gan, who was standing next to him, was stunned for a moment when he heard this, as if the plot of the Amazing Spider-Man was that the Osborn family had a genetic disease. Looking at Harry meaningfully, Mei Gan seemed to see several small targets approaching him. "Harry, Uncle Kyan is a very good doctor. If you don't believe it, go back and ask your father. Also, give your father a message. If you want to cure your genetic disease, bring money and come to me." Mei Gan said to Harry, then patted him on the shoulder and left. Chapter 85 Norman Osborn. At night, Harry looked a little depressed and walked out of the veteran tavern helplessly. He knew that Peter's master might lie to him, but Mei Gan would never lie to him. He didn't have anything for him to gain, except money. But he knew Tony Stark, so he shouldn't be after his money. That is, he really had a genetic disease. Why didn't his father tell him? No wonder he felt that his health was getting worse and worse recently. He thought it was because he was tired of worrying about the company. It turned out to be a genetic disease. Harry thought in his heart and wanted to go back and communicate with his father urgently. Mei said that he could find him. He was a magician and must be able to cure his family's genetic disease. After thinking about it, Harry walked out of the block quickly. The driver should have arrived. "Master, is what you just said true? Harry is really sick." Peter looked at Harry, who walked out of the block, and asked Uncle Kyan beside him, "What's the benefit of me lying to you little brats? Then can you cure it?" Peter looked at Uncle Kyan hopefully. "It's difficult. Uncle Kyan shook his head and said as he walked towards home. What should I do then? Peter asked anxiously. Didn't you just hear what that brat Mei Gan said? Tell his father to bring money to him. That means he can cure it. Yes. Mei is here. Harry's family seems to be quite rich, so there shouldn't be any problem. In Osborn's villa. As soon as the luxury car stopped, Harry couldn't wait to get out of the car and ran towards the villa. Father. Running into the house, Harry called his father anxiously. Mr. Harry, your father is in the study. A maid walked up and said to Harry. Harry heard and hurriedly ran towards his father's study. Bang, pushing open the door of the study, Harry walked into the study panting. At a glance, he saw his father looking at him with a serious expression and a little anger. Harry, what did I teach you? Even if it's a big thing, you must face it calmly. Have you forgotten what I taught you? Norman Osborn, who was thin and a little pale, said to his son with a little anger. Father, close the door, go out and knock, before coming back in. Norman Osborn looked at his son with a sharp gaze and said coldly, yes, father. Harry, who knew his father's temperament, had to close the door again, knocked on the door, and got his father's permission before entering the study. If there is a next time, you must be prepared to accept the punishment. Tell me, what do you want to talk to me about? Norman Osborn looked down at the information on the table and said seriously, Father, does our family have a genetic disease? Harry asked the news he got tonight. Norman Osborn, who was looking at the information, was shocked when he heard this. Then he looked up and looked at Harry and asked, who told you? Being looked at by his father with such a cold look, Harry's neck shrank, and he answered with some fear, Peter's master said so. He grabbed my wrist and said I was sick. Father, is this true? Harry looked up and asked his father, as if his desire to survive overcame his fear of his father. Yes, there is a hereditary disease in our family. It seems that you have met a great Chinese medicine doctor. Osborn stood up slowly and replied with a somewhat gloomy look. It's true. Why didn't father tell me? Because the disease will only occur when you are about to graduate from college, and I will develop a prescription for this disease in the next few years. You can still relax for a few years. If I fail, then it will be your turn, son. Norman Osborn said to Harry with a rare look of relief. Father, do you know Mr. Mei? Just now, Mr. Mei, the Ash Wizard, asked me to bring you a message. Harry suddenly looked at his father with hope and said, what message? He knew the Ash Wizard, the superhero who saved the Big Apple City. The strange thing was that he didn't know him at all. What message did he want his son to bring? Did Harry offend him? He said that if father wants to cure this disease, he should bring money to find him. What? Did he really say that? Norman Osborn's face changed drastically when he heard this. He hurried to Harry's side and looked at his son with hope. No one wants to solve his family's genetic disease more than him. He has been tortured by this disease for so many years. Now that he heard the news that it can be cured, how can he remain calm? That's what he told me. Harry replied to his father with a little pain on his face. Really, it can be cured. He shouldn't be lying. He is a magician. It must be true. Norman Osborn let go of Harry's shoulders and walked around in the study, talking to himself. Let's go, Harry, let's go find him now. If he can cure our disease, no matter how much money it costs, it's fine. Norman Osborn took Harry's arm and was about to go out the door. Father, it's late now. Let's go tomorrow. It would be bad if we disturbed Mr. Mei and made him unhappy. Harry pointed to the dark window and said to his father, yes, Harry, you are right. Let's go tomorrow. I still need to prepare money. Norman Osborn was no longer as calm as he had been when he scolded Harry just now. For a person who has been tortured by illness for decades, the best thing is to hear that his disease can be cured. Anyone would be so happy that their spirits would change greatly. The next day, early in the morning, just after dawn, a luxury car has stopped at the door of the flower shop. In the car, Norman Osborn and Harry have been waiting here for more than 2 hours. Since he knew that his family's genetic disease could be cured last night, Norman Osborn did not sleep all night. Before dawn, he brought Harry to the downstairs of the flower shop to wait. The father and son waited quietly in the car, without any impatience on their faces, only a look of expectation. Not long after, The door of the flower shop opened. Mei Gan yawned and walked out of the flower shop in pajamas, did a few stretching exercises, turned his head, and saw the father and son getting out of the car. "You father and son are really early." Mei Gan greeted the two fathers and sons who came to deliver money. "Mr. Mei, I'm Norman Osborn, Harry's father, and we just arrived too." Norman Osborn walked in front of Mei Gan respectfully and said, "Mr. Osborn, you don't have to come so early. This little bit of time doesn't matter. It's been decades. Yes, it's been decades. Suddenly I heard there was hope, and I couldn't wait any longer. I always felt uneasy if I wasn't cured, so I had to come earlier." Norman Osborn was anxious, but he sighed calmly. "I understand. Then come in and sit for a while. I'll go wash up first," Mei Gan said, and walked into the flower shop. Norman and his son followed him quickly. After the two sat down on the sofa, Mei Gan made 2 cups of tea for them and went to wash up first. P.S. Please vote. Chapter 86 Purification. Inside the flower shop, Mei Gan had changed out of his pajamas and came down from the second floor in casual clothes. Sitting opposite the two, Mei Gan helped them fill up their tea and then said, "Mr. Osborn, let me make it clear first. The treatment fee for both of you is $100 million each. There shouldn't be any problem." Originally, Mei Gan was going to order more, but seeing that the father and son had arrived early and waited downstairs for so long and didn't knock on the door to disturb their rest, he just accepted 2 small targets. Alas, Mei Gan felt that he was still too kind. Norman Osborn was stunned for a moment when he heard this. Is it so cheap? He prepared $1 billion, but it was solved with $200 million. Last night, he called several friends, and they all said that Mr. Mei was greedy. It seems that they don't know Mr. Mei at all, and they also heard it from hearsay. They are also a group of unreliable old guys. The thought flashed through his mind, and Norman Osborn said quickly, "Mr. Mei, this is too cheap. How about adding $200 million? This way I will feel more at ease. I'm not doubting you, but I think that the lives of our father and son are worth $200 million after all." Mei Gan was stunned when he heard this. He was afraid that he had met a fool. There were people who thought the money was too little. "Since you are so generous, I can't refuse it." But Harry didn't have any opinions, and he was not qualified to express his opinions. After all, the money was not earned by him. "Okay, since Mr. Osborn said so, I won't refuse it," Mei Gan replied after drinking a sip of tea. "No need to refuse, Mr. Mei must accept it. I don't know when it can start." Norman Osborn rubbed his hands and said, looking at his expression, he was obviously impatient. "Then I will treat you first." Mei Gan looked at the anxious two people and smiled. "Then I don't know if I need to make any preparations." "No, just sit down, both of you." Mei Gan put down the teacup and waved his hand. The two men sat up straight after hearing this, like elementary school students waiting for their teacher to enter the classroom. Mei Gan extended his right hand, and Antonidus' blue staff appeared in his hand. In order to make the two feel that their money was well spent, some superficial work had to be done. Although it could be done without the staff. After all, the other party spent $400 million, and $200 million of them were added on their own initiative. The patient must feel that Mei Gan was not perfunctory. Purification. Mei Gan pointed the staff in his hand at Norman Osborn. Blue light shot out from the staff and enveloped him. The light wrapped Norman's body, and the naked eye could see a trace of lightning moving through Norman Osborn's body. Purification. The magic skill of the Orc Shaman. It eliminates all magic effects and any negative effects on the unit, and can also cause a lot of damage to the marked target unit. Casting interval, 1 second. Purification was extracted 3 months ago, but Mei Gan had never used it. He had always forgotten that there was such a skill. It was only when he saw Mei Gan last night that he remembered it. After all, Mei Gan had never been sick. Even if someone was sick, a holy light would solve the problem. At worst, there was a life potion. Purification skills were needed there. However, holy light could only restore vitality, but could not eliminate viruses and bacteria in the body. Even if vitality was restored, as long as the viruses in the body were not eliminated, it would continue to be consumed. Purification was different. Any viruses and bacteria in the body could be eliminated, but it could not replenish the consumed vitality. However, there was another type of palladium poisoning that Tony had suffered before. Even if the palladium element in his body was purified, if he was still using the Mark armor, he would continue to be poisoned. Norman Osborn was enveloped by the blue light, and he only felt his body warm, and then his whole body felt numb, as if he was electrocuted by static electricity, and his whole body couldn't stop shaking. After a while, the blue light disappeared. Norman Osborn trembled all over, and the numb feeling slowly disappeared in his body. He felt that all the pain he had endured in the past had dissipated, but his body was consumed too much, and he had to recuperate well. No, the pain is gone. This is real. This is real. After the light faded, Norman Osborn felt his body, and suddenly stood up. His eyes were red, and he couldn't stop talking excitedly. After more than 10 years of torture, today he finally felt that his body was no longer in pain and torture. The 400 million was worth it. If it were his own company's research, I don't know how much money he would invest in it. Sit down, don't move, there is still one process, Mei Gan said, pressing Norman Osborn's shoulder with one hand. Okay, I'll listen to Mr. Mei. Osborn heard this, and sat down quickly, his body shaking with joy. Mei Gan didn't waste any words, and pointed his staff at Osborn again, and a holy light fell from the sky to Osborn. Under the shining of the holy light, Norman Osborn's pale face became visibly red, and his spirit got rid of the state of depression, and the consumed vitality was replenished. Norman Osborn could feel that his body seemed to have become younger, no longer like before, when his body in his 40s seemed to be about to be buried. Now that he had a sister, he could let Harry be his brother. I can feel that my body seems to have become a dozen years younger. Norman Osborn clenched his fists and looked at Mei Gan, who was going to treat his son with gratitude. Someone pulled you out of hell and saved your family. Anyone who is not too dark inside will be extremely grateful. Here, Mei Gan did not pay attention to Norman Osborn. Mei Gan just covered Harry with a purification and purified Harry's lesions. There was no need to use holy light for him. After all, Harry was still young and had not yet consumed his vitality. After a while, Mei Gan put away the staff in his hand and said to the two, okay, your symptoms have been removed. Even if you have offspring in the future, this genetic disease will not appear again. Harry looked at his body, which seemed to have no changes, and could not feel any changes in his body. He looked at his father with some doubts. Harry, you are still young. I told you that the symptoms of the genetic disease will only appear in your body when you graduate from college, so you didn't feel anything when Mr. Mei treated you. Norman seemed to see Harry's confusion and patted his son's shoulder to explain. Thank you, Mr. Mei. If you have any problems in the future, you can call me or find Harry, Norman Osborn said, after taking Harry to bow to Mei Gan. You must build a good relationship with such a powerful and unoffensive existence, because you don't know when he may save your life. You're welcome. I'll pay you for the service. Just transfer the money to my card. Mei Gan deliberately emphasized the 3 words my card. He was already annoyed with Nick, the boiled egg, who always transferred money to Audrey's card. This time, he must keep some private money. Don't worry, I'll ask someone to transfer the money immediately. That's good. Chapter 87 I can order one for you. Early in the morning, Norman Osborn and his son said goodbye to Mei Gan and drove to the exit of the block. Harry, you said last night that Stark also lives here. The luxury car drove slowly, and Norman Osborn asked his son. Yes, father, look, that's where Mr. Stark lives. Peter told me. Harry was stunned when he heard it, and then pointed to a house next to him. At this time, Potts just walked out of the house in a professional suit. That's Miss Potts from Stark Group. Looking at Potts, Norman Osborn murmured. Then he looked at the houses on both sides from time to time, smiled and said to Harry, son, let's buy a house here too. We will move in the future. Don't you have a few good friends living here? You can meet often in the future. Really, father? Harry asked happily when he heard it. Of course, I will ask someone to buy a house when I go back. Norman Osborn smiled on his face that he had never seen before and said easily, Thank you, father, you're welcome, I smiled triumphantly. Mei Gan stood in the kitchen, humming a song while making breakfast, and it seemed that he was in an extremely good mood. Now there was $400 million quietly lying in his card. He finally had some private money, which made him very happy. Honey, you are in a good mood today. I have never seen you sing before. Audrey leaned against the door frame, crossed her chest with her hands, and said to Mei Gan in her transparent pajamas. The faintly visible white skin made Mei Gan dizzy. The two car lights were really too bright and dazzling. That's right, today I am. Cough cough, I can see my beautiful Miss Audrey every day when I wake up. So of course I'm in a good mood. Mei Gan almost told him about making money today, but fortunately he reacted immediately and almost fell into the beauty trap. Really? Honey, you are so sweet and talkative. Audrey smiled and walked up to Mei Gan and kissed her face and said happily, of course, you've tasted it, haven't you? You should know whether it's sweet or not. Mei Gan grabbed a handful of Audrey's from behind with a wicked smile. Honey, you're so annoying. Audrey ran to the side with a sweet laugh. Go wash up quickly, it's time to have breakfast, otherwise little sissy will wake up soon. Mei Gan straightened his face, patted Audrey's sexy buttocks, pointed to the bathroom and said, okay. Audrey went out with her buttocks twisted after hearing that. Fortunately, the private money was almost discovered by Audrey. Although Audrey might not take it away if she found it, this habit of hiding things like a hamster is quite exciting. This is the excitement. After breakfast, Mei Gan took Audrey and the awakened little sissy for another walk. The park is still under renovation, so the three of them walked on both sides of the street, chatting with Banner and the others from time to time. The block had been completely renovated, and all the public facilities had been replaced with new ones. Only the park had some finishing touches left, which would probably be done in the afternoon. In the afternoon, 2 trucks and a good car drove into the block. Norman Osborn and his son Harry moved into this street. The house they bought was not far from the flower shop, and Natasha's house was just across from the flower shop. The father and son looked at the moving company happily. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Norman Osborn felt very safe here. It was a psychological effect. Mei Gan saw them and went up with Steve and the others to welcome the father and son. They also asked the two to gather at the Veteran Tavern in the evening to hold a welcome party for them. Although people in the block would have a drink at the Veteran Tavern from time to time, this ceremony still had to be held. After all, they would be neighbors in the future. Harry had already excitedly gone to find Gwen and the others. Today was a weekend, so there was no class. Soon, the construction team of the Stark group began to leave one after another, leaving behind a brand new block. All the houses were repainted, the trash cans, streetlights, seeds, etc. were replaced with new ones, and even the trees on both sides of the street were replaced with more lush ones. There was an arched gate at the front and back of the block, and a security booth was built in the middle. There were already S.H.I.E.L.D. agents on duty there. This made Mei Gan feel like he had already joined S.H.I.E.L.D. Fortunately, he didn't recognize it himself, and Nick, that boiled egg, didn't dare to order him around unless he was paid, and no less. Boom, a figure fell from the sky. Tony, who hadn't appeared for several days, landed in front of his house wearing a full set of Mark armor. Not long after, Tony walked out of his house in a suit, holding 2 large boxes in his hands, and then walked towards the flower shop. I haven't seen little Sissy for a long time. I wonder if the little guy misses me as his godfather. Stepping into the flower shop, Tony saw Mei Gan, who was teasing little Sissy, and said, "Little Sissy, the godfather is here to see you. Look what he brought you." Ignoring Mei Gan, Tony moved in front of little Sissy and shook the box in his hand and said gently, with this gentle tone, Potts didn't know how many times he had been jealous. Every time after a big fight with Tony, he would say that he was not as good as a child. The jealousy almost killed Tony. "What toys did you buy again? Little Sissy can't play with toys yet, and every time you either buy toy guns or remote control cars, or bring those robot toys, aren't these what boys like to play with? Are you stupid?" Mei Gan looked at the 2 paper boxes with remote control airplanes printed on them in Tona's hands with disdain. "Little Sissy is a little princess. Next time, can you bring some things that girls like, such as Barbie dolls? I can see that you have no childhood." How can children like those dolls that don't move? Or you like dolls that don't move? Maybe I can order one for you. Potts knows a doll factory owner who lives a good life. As long as Audrey doesn't mind. Tony didn't agree with Mei Gan's words. When he was a child, his mother said that he always liked these things and often took them apart to study them. Little Cecile later became a scholar with a very high IQ. Then he looked at Mei Gan with a look that was not quite right. You like dolls? No wonder you use money to find women. No wonder I haven't seen you propose to Potts yet. You don't understand girls at all. There is a generation gap between us. Mei Gan scratched his hair and said speechlessly, "Why are you dragging me and Potts into this? Go away and don't disturb me playing with little Cecile." Tony pushed Mei Gan away and sat next to the stroller. Audrey, who was arranging the flowers, shook her head. She didn't know if little Cecile would be spoiled by her father and uncles when she grew up. It would be bad if she developed princess syndrome. She would talk to Mei tonight to see who would be the villain. Then she looked at Mei Gan, who was competing with Tony for a position. It seemed that she had to be the villain herself. Chapter 88. The Defense Tower standing tall in the neighborhood. In the evening, in front of the flower shop, the two grown men who had accompanied little Cecile for more than an hour walked out of the flower shop. Looking at the sky that was about to get dark, Mei Gan patted Tony on the back and said, "Let's go. The construction team just left today and I have to go set up my safety facilities." Steve and his men just happened to be back. He asked them to go together so that they wouldn't be surprised to see a few more buildings and ask questions. It would be very troublesome to explain. Leading the people in the block to the gate, Mei Gan had already asked someone to reserve a seat just behind the security booth. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agent sitting in the security booth was so scared that his hands holding the lunchbox trembled a little when he saw the group of people coming towards him aggressively. They were a group of superheroes. Any one of them could deal with him with one hand, so why should he let a group of people deal with him? He was so scared. Could it be that he forgot to flush the toilet when he went to the public toilet yesterday and they knew it, and now a group of superheroes came to beat him up? Should I feel honored? Facts have proved that narcissistic people can be found everywhere, regardless of whether they have money or not. Seeing Mei Gan and the others stop not far from him, without moving forward or looking at him, he knew that he was thinking too much. Seeing Mei Gan stop, everyone looked at him, waiting for him to cast magic. Not to mention, Mei Gan's skills were very cool every time. Even Norman Osborn, who was older and had just moved in today, was interested. Only Uncle Kyan, who was blind, and Jessica, who had no eyes for anyone except Uncle Kyan, did not come. Even Aunt Mei took little Cecile from Audrey's arms and ran to join in the fun. Mei Gan did not say anything and took out a small ivory tower from the system space. The white ivory tower was shining in Mei Gan's hand. Mei Gan threw the ivory tower into the empty space left. The ivory tower quickly grew larger in the air, and in the blink of an eye it became 10 meters high. Boom. The ivory tower suddenly fell to the ground, making a muffled sound, shaking the ground, as if an earthquake had arrived. Everyone felt the ground they were standing on was shaking. What is this? A defense tower? What era is it from? What can it defend? Tony walked forward and looked at the ivory tower and said with some doubt, "You're not done yet." Mei Gan pulled Tony away speechlessly. After a thought, the ivory tower quickly rotated, bringing a burst of light. The white light covered the ivory tower, making it impossible to see the scene inside. After a moment, the white light disappeared, and the white ivory tower had turned into a mysterious magic tower. A gem was floating on the top of the magic tower. A mysterious blue eye was floating on the gem, looming. It was a magic sentry that could show all invisible units. But it was useless. After all, there were no mutants in this world, and there were no enemies who could turn invisible. The invisible hand and 5 fingers were turned into mummies, and Mei Gan even threw away the ashes. The magic tower has 3 floors, a big wooden door facing everyone, and there are several windows on the 2nd floor. This is a magic tower that can be lived in. Mei Gan walked forward and pushed open the wooden door. What came into view was a space of more than 80 square meters, with stairs inside. He led everyone to the 2nd floor. The space was obviously much smaller, only about 60 square meters. On the wall were some large mysterious runes. They were runes of a magic circle, and in the center of the magic circle was floating something like a crystal ball. The crystal ball could observe the location within a radius of 10 miles. As long as you touch the crystal ball with your hands and imagine the place you want to observe in your mind, it will appear on the crystal ball. However, Mei Gan did not tell them, because who knows which guy will come to spy on others at that time. This defense tower can actually be lived in. Steve looked around curiously and said with great admiration, "Tony, ask someone to buy a larger pet item and put it in this corner, such as a carpet or something." Mei Gan said to Tony, who was looking at the runes. "What do you want those things for? Do you want the chickens to live here?" Tony asked in confusion. "No, I will summon my pets here again. They will guard this defense tower. If an enemy appears, they will activate this mysterious tower," said Mei Gan. "Okay, no problem. Potts will take care of it," Tony said to Mei Gan while hugging Potts. "Thanks, this is to protect all of us. Since you took out this thing, shouldn't I buy some carpets or something?" Tony waved his hand and said indifferently, "Why don't you let me prepare it? Mr. Stark, you asked people to renovate the block. Leave these things to us, Osborn." Norman came to Tony and Mei Gan and said after listening to their conversation, "That's fine." Mei Gan shrugged and said indifferently. Tony didn't say anything else, which was considered as tacit agreement. He is not as good at insulting people as before. If it were before, he would have to say you have money and I have money to support him. And there is no need to fight for this little money. After taking everyone to visit the defense tower for a while, everyone followed Mei Gan to remove the defense tower. Let's go. Let's go to the end of the street. There is another one to be built there," Mei Gan said to everyone. Everyone nodded and walked towards the end of the street. "There is also an arched gate here." Mei Gan threw out an ivory tower in the same position. After a few breaths, the ivory tower grew to 10 meters high. The white walls were still glowing with white light. Mei Gan's thoughts moved again, and the white light flashed again, and everyone closed their eyes. After a while, the light dispersed, and a red arrow tower appeared in front of everyone. The top of the tower also had a mysterious blue-eye rune. Under the red tower top, 4 large arrows flashing with cold light were extending from there. The ivory tower can be upgraded to 3 forms: a mysterious tower for magic attacks, a turret that fires cannonballs, and another arrow tower that fires arrows. Mei Gan did not go up to the arrow tower. Anyway, the space inside was similar, but the others went up and walked around with interest. Even though the space was similar, everyone was still watching with great interest. After coming out of the arrow tower, everyone was still a little surprised to see the defense tower that appeared here. "Mei, are you sure you are a magician? I have never heard of a magician being able to build a defense tower out of thin air." Banner raised his glasses on the bridge of his nose and looked at Mei Gan in confusion. "That's right, we all believe you are a god now, not like Thor, the god of thunder." Johnny patted the cold, hard tower body and said in great surprise, "This is a magical creation, equivalent to my staff. Whether you believe it or not, it is a magical creation anyway." "Okay. Anyway, you built it. We don't understand it either." Steve spread his hands and said indifferently. Looking at the towering arrow tower, Norman Osborn felt that living here was the most correct decision in his life. Here are these powerful heroes, as well as these 2 defense towers. Even if he sleeps on the street with a pile of money, he can sleep safely for a night. But he was wrong. If he slept on the street with money, the money would definitely be in Mei Gan's pocket when he woke up, picked up on the street. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 Shadow Wolf. In the evening, the moon has appeared in the sky, and the weak moonlight is already shining on the earth. Coming back from the end of the street, Mei Gan once again built a turret in the middle of the road in front of the flower shop in front of everyone. The muzzle on the turret rotates silently from time to time, as if an eye is patrolling the block. Because the turret's range is far better than the other 2 towers, Mei Gan built the turret inside the block. In the game, the attack range of the turret and the magic tower is the same. Both are 800, while the arrow tower is only 700, but the one Mei Gan extracted from the system is different. The attack range of the arrow tower and the magic tower is 2 kilometers, while the attack range of the turret is 8 kilometers, a full 6 kilometers more. Peter, Gwen, the space in this turret will be for you little guys to use from now on, but you can't move the crystal ball on it casually or you will die. Mei Gan said to the 4 little guys who were looking at Mei Gan with admiration. Anyway, they can't activate the turret without magic power, and it still needs Mei Gan or the pet he summoned to activate it. Let's give it to these little guys so they can have a secret base. Is this true? Mei, this is so cool, thank you. The little guys jumped up excitedly when they heard it. This is their secret base. Peter, tomorrow we will go buy things to set up our secret base. Gwen put her hands on her hips and pointed at Peter, Danny, and Harry. It seems that Gwen has become the leader of this group of little guys. The 4 high school students are still immature in their thinking. They must be very excited to see something fun. Okay, the 3 boys responded quickly. The 4 little guys ran into the turret and prepared to go in and see how to set up their base. Mei, is it okay? Steve and George looked a little worried. After all, this is a defense tower with lethality. Although we don't know whether the lethality is strong, we can tell from the magic used by Mei Gan that it is definitely not low. Now let these little guys use it. I don't know if it will cause any trouble. It's okay, Steve, George, don't worry. Without my magic, they can't activate these defense towers, Mei Gan explained to the 2. Otherwise, how could he use it for these little guys? That's good, otherwise I wouldn't dare to let these little guys set up any secret bases. George was relieved when he heard that. Are you going to let the 2 giant beasts guard the 2 defense towers at the door last time? Steve asked doubtfully. No, they don't have good brains, they are too stupid. Mei Gan thought about the pig and the bear, so he didn't want to summon them, which would make his IQ look low. If it weren't for the fact that there was only one war eagle to summon, Mei Gan would have summoned the war eagle, and that war eagle was too arrogant. Now the 2 huskies are the right ones. After thinking in his mind, Mei Gan's magic power surged in his hand, and his right hand stretched forward. He chanted, "Summon, Ghost Wolf." A huge magic circle appeared in front of everyone. 2 car-sized figures appeared in the center of the magic circle. After a few breaths, the magic circle dissipated, and everyone saw 2 car-sized black and red giant wolves appear in front of them. The red hair on the back of the giant wolf shone with red light. Its 4 powerful limbs stepped on the ground. It opened its mouth slightly, and a sharp fang appeared in front of everyone. Its red eyes flashed with cold light. It looked at everyone slightly, and then looked at Mei Gan. Then, like a hare, it wagged its tail, cracked its mouth, ran happily to Mei Gan's side, and arched Mei Gan's shoulder. Its tongue licked Mei Gan's face from time to time. It's so dirty, get out of here. Mei Gan kicked the 2 shadow wolves away with 1 wolf and 1 foot. The 2 shadow wolves showed aggrieved expressions. Ahem. Dahi, ahi, each of you has a defense tower. As long as there is no enemy, you will guard there. No one is allowed to enter without my permission. Do you understand? Mei Gan ordered the 2 wolves, as if he didn't see their grievances. The 2 shadow wolves nodded, and said they understood. Summoning ghost wolves is a skill of the orc hero Prophet. Summon 2 permanent wolves to assist in the battle. In the game, the ghost wolf only exists for 60 seconds, but the one extracted by the system is permanent. The ghost wolf is the ghost wolf when it is first clicked, and it becomes the fear wolf after upgrading, and the highest level is the current shadow wolf. People are not surprised by these 2 giant wolves. After all, they have seen phoenixes and dragons, let alone wolves. However, Norman Osborn is very interested in these 2 wolves. Mr. Mei, I will take care of the food for these 2 wolves in the future, Norman said excitedly with his eyes shining as he looked at the 2 giant wolves as big as calves. Okay, but don't study them. Be careful not to get bitten. Looking at Norman with shining eyes, Mei Gan was really afraid that this guy would go to study the 2 giant wolves. After all, the Osborn group is famous for biological research. Don't worry, Mr. Mei, I just like these beasts very much, and I won't study them. Norman waved his hand and said. He really likes these two wolves. The majestic body and ferocious expression make him like them very much. If he sees the red baby, he will pounce on it, because it is a red dragon. When Steve and the others first saw it, they were surprised for a while, but none of them had seen a red dragon grow bigger, except Aunt May, Peter, and Uncle Kyan. Big Black, Second Black, he will send you food in the future, so be nice to him. Mei Gan walked up and touched the heads of the two wolves, then pointed at Norman and said. The two shadow wolves looked up at Norman Osborn, then nodded. Mr. Mei, can I touch them? Norman saw the two wolves nod themselves and walked up excitedly, rubbing his hands and asked. Of course, by the way, since you have moved in, you are a friend. Just call me Mei, don't be too polite. Mei Gan replied with a smile. Okay, thank you. Norman gently touched the hair on the back of Big Black with trembling hands, and the muscles on his face trembled with excitement. Norman, since you like them, then you can take Big Black and Little Black to the two defense towers. Mei Gan saw Norman's expression. He liked the two huskies so much anyway, so he was asked to run errands. He must be very happy. This guy can cultivate the relationship with the two huskies on the way. Okay, leave it to me. Mei. Sure enough, Norman Osborn heard the words and immediately took the two wolves away excitedly. Mei Gan and the others also dispersed one after another and went back to their homes, leaving only the four little guys still excitedly discussing something in the turret. From time to time, you can hear their happy shouts. It is estimated that everyone in the block will sleep well tonight, even Tony, who is still a little anxious now. The three defense towers guard them, and the sense of security is awesome. But there will be a small meeting tonight. In the future, no one can be allowed to live in this block casually. Although these houses have been bought by Tony, who knows that there will be a capitalist who is friendly with the Stark Group, to play the emotional card with Tony. P.S. Please vote. Chapter 90. I think they are also happy. Afternoon. Mei Gan and Audrey were lying on the lounge chairs on the second floor balcony, and little Sissy was crawling on the carpeted floor. Looking at the three defense towers standing on the block, Mei Gan felt that this time it was really stable. What Ultron? Purple potato spirit. Come on, let's see which guy can still collapse my house. Had he? Thinking about it, Mei Gan laughed out loud unconsciously. Honey, what are you laughing at? Audrey asked puzzledly. Her husband is good in everything, but he is a little neurotic sometimes and looks a little silly. Looking at Mei Gan, who is still grinning, Audrey asked again speechlessly. Nothing to laugh at, dear. Mei Gan replied in his mind when Audrey interrupted him. Mysterious, Audrey pouted and muttered. Hey. Mei Gan looked at Audrey and smiled silly a few times before changing the subject and said, honey, I haven't ridden our Quinjet yet. Let's go fly around tomorrow. After saying that, Mei Gan sat up and looked at Audrey expectantly and asked, didn't we ride it that night? You actually want to do it during the day? Audrey seemed to have misunderstood Mei Gan's words and replied with a slightly red face. Ahem. What are you talking about? This time we are really flying, not that kind of flying. We will fly around in the air. Mei Gan looked at Audrey's slightly red cheeks and coughed a few times. Knowing that she had thought wrongly, he explained. Really, let's go tomorrow. Hearing that she was asked to fly the Quinjet, Audrey ignored her slightly red cheeks and asked Mei Gan with bright eyes. Of course, let's fly around the Pacific Ocean. Mei Gan pointed in the direction of the Pacific Ocean and said, okay. Audrey sat up happily and replied. She didn't have any other hobbies, she just liked to fly a plane in the air for a few circles. That feeling of yearning for freedom. The beautiful country people yearn for freedom. Then we'll go after breakfast tomorrow. Mei Gan decided. It's a happy decision, Audrey said excitedly. While the two were chatting, Peter's voice came from downstairs. Hey, Mei, do you want to come and see the secret base we set up? Downstairs, Peter was holding a hammer in his hand and looking up at Mei Gan. Danny, the youngest of the four, was beside him. Both of them had excited expressions on their faces. Can I go in and take a look? Before Mei Gan could reply, Kato suddenly appeared from nowhere and asked Peter. Of course, welcome. Gwen stood at the door of the turret with her hands behind her back. Her graceful appearance stunned Peter. Mei Gan held the railing and looked at Peter and Gwen with interest. It was estimated that it was almost done. You could tell from the way Gwen glanced at Peter from time to time. I don't know if George knew it. No matter how much he said he liked Peter last time, he must be unhappy. A father would feel uncomfortable if the cabbage he had raised for more than 10 years was eaten. I wonder if Mei Gan will use a skill on that bastard when little Sissy looks for a boyfriend in the future. Mei, are you really not going to come and take a look? We have decorated the inside so beautifully. Seeing Gwen and Kato walk into the turret, Peter remembered Mei Gan upstairs. Okay, then I'll go downstairs to see your masterpiece. Mei Gan thought about it and carried little Sissy down to the second floor, leaving Audrey lying on the lounge chair basking in the sun. When I walked into the turret with little Sissy in my arms, I saw that there were posters of Mei Gan, Steve and Tony hanging on the wall. Was it to flatter, or as a pendant? There were several round lounge chairs on the ground, and a swing was hung on the side. No need to think, this swing must have been installed by Peter for Gwen. There was a green carpet on the ground, which stretched from the first floor to the second floor. The style looked very simple. Just as Mei Gan was about to go to the second floor, Peter said, Mei, we haven't decorated the second floor yet. Mei Gan looked at the four little guys in confusion and asked, don't we still have time? Why don't we decorate it? No money. Peter touched his hair and said with a smile, okay. Mei Gan shrugged and walked out the door. Walking out of the turret, Peter and the others asked with smiles on their faces, Mei, how is it? Our vision is okay, right? Yes, very good. Mei Gan patted Peter's shoulder and said with a smile, of course, our vision is not bad. Gwen raised her head and replied proudly, Peter, are you free? Come to the next block with me. At this time, Uncle Kyan came to the outside of the turret with a guide stick and said to Peter, I'm here, Master. Of course I'm free. Peter replied quickly after hearing this. Uncle Kyan, what are you doing next door? Are you going to find a Euphina? Mei Gan asked Uncle Kyan with an expression that a man knows. Go away, what are you talking about? I met an old friend I haven't seen for a long time in Chinatown a few days ago. He said he lives next door. I'll go over to his place and sit down. Uncle Kyan tapped Mei Gan's leg with his guide stick and explained. It's a surprise that you still have an old friend here. Why don't I have any friends here? He is about 10 years younger than me. I met him in XG, and we used to deal with each other. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm leaving. Bye. Mei Gan waved his hand. A certain military district in the Big Apple. General Ross was in a secret room with several screens hanging on the wall. On the screen, several old faces appeared, looking at Ross who was sitting in a chair. Ross, it's been so long. Why haven't you taken action yet? An old man with grey hair and a handmade suit looked at Ross and asked, Sir, didn't you see the battle in New York? Ross was filled with fear when he heard the battle in New York. That man was so strong. He had already retreated a little in his heart. He didn't know whether his plan would succeed or whether he should implement it. Of course I have seen it. Even if he is very powerful, can he withstand the attack of a nuclear bomb? Another man in a black suit said seriously. They have read the information of that man. There is a blind man next to him. He used to have white hair, but now he looks very young. If they learn the secrets of that man, maybe they can get powerful power and immortality. Think about how wonderful it would be. Ross, you have to know that science is equally powerful. As long as we get the body of that man, we can get the same power. A bald man with only one eye on his face said to Ross in a tempting tone. What if we fail? Have you thought about the consequences? If he doesn't leave the Big Apple, will we directly drop a nuclear bomb on the Big Apple? Although Ross was moved again, after listening to their words, he still had some concerns. For the strength of our beautiful country, it is an honor for them to sacrifice their lives. I think they are also very happy. The white-haired old man's eyes were cold, and a look of compassion appeared on his face. That's right. As long as we become stronger, the United States will also become stronger, and Ross will also have the powerful army you want. Okay, whether we succeed or fail, you must let me distance myself from it, and you must keep my position. Listening to their words, Ross said with a hard heart, of course, we are allies. Several people smiled when they heard it. Once I catch that big guy, I will take action. Ross stood up and walked out of the room. As the door closed, the room suddenly fell into darkness. Chapter 91 Storm. In the morning, after breakfast, Mei Gan took Audrey and little Sissy to the park. There is a helipad in the park that Tony asked the construction team to leave specially, thinking that it should be used frequently in the future. Mei, where are you going? Didn't you go for a walk this morning? Banner asked Mei Gan when he walked to Banner's door and was about to go to work for Tony. Let's go to the sky. Mei Gan pointed to the sky and said to Banner, magicians who can fly are willful. Banner looked at Mei Gan with envy and muttered, why can't Hulk fly? If Hulk can fly, I can take Betty to the sky for a romantic trip. Should I owe Tony a flying machine to use? I wonder if I can owe it by selling myself for 2 years. Banner walked into the car, thinking to himself, if he owes Tony any more money, Banner will probably end up spending his old age in Stark Group. Tony should be very happy. Johnny, are you sending Danny to school? When they reached Johnny's door, Mei Gan asked Johnny, who was sitting on a motorcycle wearing a helmet. Yes, Mei, there will be such a day for you in the future. Johnny, who put on his helmet, pointed to the little sissy in Mei Gan's arms and said, that will take several years. Mei Gan shrugged. Let's go. We'll talk to Steve tonight, otherwise we'll be late. Johnny said, and started the motorcycle, and left without waiting for Mei Gan to reply. You left without waiting for me to finish. How rude. Mei Gan shook his head. Let's go. It will be too late if we are late. Mei. Audrey dragged Mei Gan's hand and walked quickly towards the park. Okay, don't worry, dear, it's yours anyway, and no one will snatch it from you. Mei Gan said as he caught up with Audrey. Soon, on the helipad of the park, Mei Gan took out the Quinjet from the system space and parked it on the helipad. The Quinjet was just fine, and Audrey ran excitedly to the driver's seat. Mei Gan saw her face change and hurriedly shouted, honey, wait a minute, slow down, don't forget me and little sissy, like you did the first time. No, come here quickly. Audrey paused when she heard that and suddenly came to her senses. She almost forgot about Mei and little sissy again. Good thing. She still had to say no, otherwise she would have to buy another set of uniforms to make Mei calm down. Mei Gan was relieved when she saw Audrey stop, otherwise she would have to use teleportation. But was your pause just now fake? You still say you didn't forget. I'm not blind. Mei Gan walked onto the Quinjet transporter in his arms speechlessly. Boom, the Quinjet transporter slowly took off with a strong airflow, and then after a sound, the transporter crossed the sky like lightning. On the transporter, Mei Gan sat in his seat, picked up his phone and dialed a number. Hello, Rod, this is Mei. Yes, it's my plane. Okay, thank you. I still have to tell Rod, otherwise if I shoot down a few of their fighter planes like Tony did, Rod and his friends will probably be heartbroken, and they will have to find an excuse to hold a press conference tomorrow. Mei, this feels really great, Audrey said excitedly to Mei Gan while sitting in the driver's seat. As long as you like it. Mei Gan looked at his wife speechlessly. Fortunately, he asked Nick, that boiled egg, for this Quinjet transport plane. Otherwise when would your hobby be satisfied? Then I'll go faster. Dear Audrey's mouth was almost grinning to her ears with excitement. I don't care, no matter how fast it is, it can't be faster than the flight of the little chicken and the red baby, Mei Gan said, while sitting aside to tease little sissy. The Quinjet transport plane flew over the territory of the United States and flew towards the Pacific Ocean. In the South Pacific, 2 large ships were parked on the sea, and in front of the large ships, dark clouds were dense, lightning flashed from time to time, and thunder resounded through the sky. On the ship, there were several military helicopters parked, and the helicopters were already full of fully armed soldiers. In one of the helicopters, a black man who looked like Nick Fury was checking the equipment. In another helicopter, a man and a woman were sitting on the same plane. If Thor saw them, he would definitely think that his brother had escaped from prison and ran to Earth. Beside him, a woman who looked like Aunt Marvel was holding a camera in her hand and facing the sea in front. Nick brought Loki and Aunt Marvel to the South Pacific and didn't know what mission they were going to do. As the helicopter propellers turned rapidly, one helicopter after another took off and flew towards the sea covered with dark clouds. On the plane, Everyone had a little fear on their faces, except for the black man who looked like a boiled egg, who was still cheering everyone up. More than a dozen military helicopters spectacularly crossed the sea and plunged into the dark storm. And at this moment, a Quinjet transport appeared in the air. It was Mei Gan and his group. "Honey, there's a storm ahead." Audrey slowed down and pointed ahead. Mei Gan looked up and saw a huge dark cloud storm blocking the way ahead. Lightning flashed across the dark clouds, making people feel terrified. "Mei, are those military personnel? What are they doing?" Audrey asked in confusion, looking at the dozen helicopters that plunged into the dark clouds below. Mei Gan didn't say anything. He also looked at the military helicopters with some confusion, and then frowned. Why is this scene so familiar? It seems that he has seen it somewhere. Mei Gan quickly recalled it in his mind. Not long after, Mei Gan's expression relaxed. He already knew which movie he had watched before crossing. He remembered that there was also an actor from China in this movie, the actress who has a backer, but has never been popular. TSK. There is also a gorilla in it. I wonder if I can catch it as a pet. It's much better than the orangutan that ate humans. Although it ate a damned woman, it was a human-eating gorilla after all. Its body is still in the space. Mei Gan smacked his lips and thought. "Mei, shall we go back?" Audrey asked with some regret. It was obvious from her expression that she was not having a good time. "Let's go in too. There's a big guy in there." Mei Gan pointed at the storm and said, "Is it okay if we really want to go in?" Audrey hesitated. She was a little afraid of damaging the Quinjet. "No problem. I will take good care of your beloved Quinjet." How could Mei Gan not know what she was thinking? He quickly waved his hand to reassure her. "Then I'm relieved." Audrey smiled at Mei Gan and then drove the Quinjet into the storm. In an instant, the Quinjet was surrounded by dark clouds. The instruments on the plane were spinning wildly, and there were slight vibrations coming from the entire fuselage. Mei Gan looked at the lightning that flashed by his side, and the magic power in his body surged, wrapping up the entire fuselage. In an instant, the fuselage of the Quinjet transport plane, which had been vibrating just now, stabilized, and the crazy rotating instrument also returned to calm. Audrey drove the transport plane forward. P.S. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 92 King Kong. In a certain military area, Ross was looking at the screen with a burning gaze. The screen showed the figures of the dozen planes that had just plunged into the storm. Ross didn't know where he knew about the existence of King Kong, and he was the one who sent him on this mission. The super soldier he had been dreaming about was about to be realized, perhaps after this mission. Maybe because he was blocked by Nick Fury several times. He promoted the black man who looked like Nick, and then when he saw the black man's subordinate, he felt that Nick was his subordinate, which made him feel very refreshed. "Sir, we can no longer get any news about them. What should we do next?" Looking at their figures that could no longer be monitored, an assistant beside Ross said, "You keep an eye on them here. If you have any news about them, come and tell me." Ross said after a little thought, and then turned and walked towards his office. "Got it, sir." Everyone in the room turned around and saluted Ross and shouted. However, they did not notice the plane that flashed by on the screen. The Quinjet transport plane smoothly passed through the thick dark clouds, and a red sun appeared in front of Mei Gan and the others. Under him, countless small islands covered with emerald green trees stood below. The emerald green water was calm without a single ripple. This was the most beautiful scenery that Mei Gan had visited after visiting so many places. Seeing it for the first time was refreshing. A thin mist floated on the water, making people think they were in a fairyland. In front, more than a dozen helicopters flew towards the distant mountains, passing over the islands, startling countless birds. With the arrival of more than a dozen helicopters, the tranquility of the island was instantly broken. Mei Gan and Audrey flew over these helicopters in a transport plane, and at this moment, boom boom, several sounds of explosives sounded from below the helicopters, and countless animals on the islands were fleeing frantically. On a helicopter, a black man who looked like Nick had a smile on his face. He brought these soldiers here for a mission, and those scientists were just covering up. Their ultimate goal is the big guy on this island. These explosives should be able to lure that big guy out. All foxes, equip our treasures. We will use them to deal with the big guys later. The black man pulled the strap of his helmet, looked at the scientists who had already landed on the ground, and then ordered the soldiers. Received. In the air. Mei Gan looked at the soldiers who were playing music and having fun below with indifference. If they didn't die, they would die. Soon, they would taste death. Just as the soldiers were listening to music and chatting, under the red sun, a big tree flew towards one of the helicopters like a missile. Boom. In an instant, the helicopter was destroyed, like a ball of fire falling to the ground. On a helicopter next to it, several soldiers all looked at the helicopter falling with horror in their eyes, and then issued a reminder on the walkie-talkie. Report. Fox number 4 fell. Fox number 4 fell. However, before they finished speaking, another big tree fell towards them, and the soldier in the co-pilot was submerged in the flames before he could finish a word, and then fell on a meadow. Scared away several deer. The black colonel listened to the voice in his ear. He was not angry or sad. The moment he received the mission, he knew what he was facing this time. He was ready to sacrifice others, including himself. He had seen those giant beasts wreaking havoc in the Big Apple, so he knew how difficult these giants were to deal with. All foxes, immediately go to the direction of fox number 4. Everyone, load missiles and explosives, the colonel ordered. Received. Under the red sun, a huge figure stood up from the ground, slowly turned around, and stared at the helicopter that surrounded him with 2 angry eyes. King Kong opened his bloody mouth and roared. His thick legs stepped out and rushed towards the direction of the helicopter. The ground shook, and King Kong jumped forward. Then, King Kong's huge palm slapped a helicopter next to it, and flames rose. The propeller of the helicopter spun and fell to the ground. Fire. The black colonel saw that another helicopter was destroyed on his side, and he shouted hurriedly. Suddenly, flames shot out from the military helicopter and blasted towards King Kong. Boom boom boom, the flames exploded on King Kong's fur, and the black hair was immediately soaked with blood. Although the shells did not hurt its bones, they still blew its flesh and blood, and the pain made King Kong roar even more angrily. King Kong pulled up a big tree on the ground and swept it across, instantly knocking down a helicopter. Fuck, that's not what the report says. Didn't it say that missiles can subdue this big guy? The black colonel saw that his bombs were useless and cursed angrily. Go on, you saw our shells. I don't believe we can't kill this guy. The black colonel pulled the headset over his ear and shouted loudly. In the air, Mei Gan frowned and watched this battle. It was not like this in the movie. At that time, they didn't have so much explosives. What's going on? King Kong's skin is also much thicker, and it can't be hurt by such explosions. There is a problem. Definitely a problem. Forget it. It will be the same, no matter how it changes. At this time, Audrey's words awakened Mei Gan. Honey, don't we help? They will be killed. Audrey looked at Mei Gan in confusion. In her mind, her husband is not like this. Mei Gan is very upright. You don't know, honey, to that big guy, they are invaders who destroy its home. Can you stop the invaders who defend your home? Mei Gan said without turning his head. No, I just feel that these soldiers are a bit of a pity. Audrey shook her beautiful head after hearing this. Honey, you may not know that this big guy is the patron saint of this island. Without it, this island will soon be destroyed by another monster. It protects the indigenous people here. Look over there. Mei Gan finished speaking and pointed in a direction and said to Audrey. Hearing this, Audrey hurriedly looked in the direction that Mei Gan pointed. There stood a wooden wall. Outside the wall, sharpened sticks were inserted horizontally. There was a trace of blood on the sticks. The scientists were led there by an old man. There are still indigenous people here, Audrey said in surprise. Dear, what do you think? Should I kill all the monsters on this island and take this big guy back? Or should I keep this big guy here and ask Tony to come here to build our base? Mei Gan asked Audrey beside him. Mei, do you want to keep it as a pet? And how can we keep it if we take it back? It's so big, and we don't have a place for it to live there. Audrey looked at such a big figure. How much food would it take to feed it? It would be more than Xiaodahan. Forget it. That's right, then we can only keep it here and let it help us look after the house. Mei Gan said, staring at King Kong. Below, King Kong was climbing up a mountain and looking into the distance. Chapter 93. You are Mr. Ashmage. The next day, Mei Gan took little Sissy and Audrey to travel all over the island. Audrey drove the Quinjet fighter to look for beautiful scenery. It must be said that there are really many beautiful scenery. The three of them were like traveling. At noon, they had a picnic on a wide grassland. They ate the food they brought with them. They didn't dare to eat the wild animals on the island for fear of viruses. Although Mei Gan would not be infected, he felt uncomfortable psychologically. At night, they enjoyed the unique scenery of the night sky. When the sky was dim, a beautiful light appeared in the dark night sky, like a dream. On a high mountain, Mei Gan hugged Audrey and sat on a big rock, quietly admiring the beautiful light. Next to them, little Sissy was playing with the toys on a carpet, taking them to her mouth from time to time and chewing them a few times, and she would not stop until the toys were covered with her saliva. The dry branches made a crackling sound in the firelight, and the faint fiery red light dyed the area with red dye. Behind the few people, the Quinjet transport was quietly parked there, and at this moment, a huge figure slowly approached from a distance. Mei Gan and the others turned to look at the culprit who disturbed them from enjoying the aurora. Little Sissy, who was chewing on a toy, was attracted by the noise. She looked at the huge figure and quickly stretched out her chubby little hands, babbling. It seemed that she was asking where this ugly guy came from. Perhaps attracted by the pure voice of the child, King Kong turned his head and looked at little Sissy, his eyes full of curiosity. The moment he saw little Sissy, his big eyes, that revealed a fierce light, showed a trace of tenderness. King Kong approached the platform on the top of the mountain and slowly approached his head. Little Sissy smiled and climbed towards King Kong with great interest. When she climbed in front of King Kong, she stretched out her pink little hands to touch King Kong's black hair. Mei, little Sissy, Audrey and Mei Gan's arms hurriedly shouted worriedly. It's okay, the big guy has no ill intentions. Mei Gan patted Audrey on the back and comforted her. Over there, looking at the tender little hand of little Sissy, King Kong stretched out his black furry finger and slowly approached the little hand of little Sissy. Suddenly, little Sissy touched the black hair and laughed ya 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 with an echo that resounded through the forest, as if there were mountain elves singing. Not far from the foot of the mountain where Mei Gan and others were, 5 figures were discussing something, 3 men and 2 women. At this moment, a childlike laughter came from the forest. The 5 people's expressions all changed, and they hurriedly looked in the direction where the sound came from. The 4 then turned their heads to look at the figure that looked like Loki. What's that sound? Is there a child? A black man with black glasses asked with a look of fear. I don't know, but we should go and take a look, James, who looked like Loki, said in a low voice. After hearing this, several people looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Let's go and take a look. The old man among the 5 took out a pistol, opened the safety, and stood up and said. The few people stopped discussing and followed James, walking gently in the direction of the sound. Not long after, they passed through the dense jungle and climbed to the top of a mountain. The scene on the top of the mountain made them all stunned. In front of them was a child of a few months old, sitting on the ground, grabbing the black hair of King Kong excitedly. There was also a plane parked next to it. 2 figures were snuggling together by the campfire. What a harmonious picture. The black man with glasses was a little confused. He pointed at Mei Gan and was about to say something, but was immediately covered by James next to him. His eyes were fixed on King Kong. Mei Gan knew they were coming, but he ignored them. Letting go of Audrey's hand, Mei Gan slowly walked towards King Kong. King Kong seemed to notice Mei Gan's movements, and his 2 black eyes stared at Mei Gan tightly. There was a trace of fear in his eyes. It sensed the horror of this human being, and it was no match for him at all. Relax, big guy. Mei Gan walked forward, held the little Sissy on the ground in his arms, and reached out to touch King Kong's nose and said. When Mei Gan's hand touched him, King Kong's huge body shook all over. I have no ill will towards you, you should be able to feel it, big guy. Mei Gan showed King Kong a kind smile. However, King Kong was still a little frightened. Mei Gan continued to say to King Kong, big guy, don't worry, I just want to be your neighbor and give you more advice in the future. Do you see that mountain range? I will build a house there in a while. You are welcome to come and play at any time. Also, I will help you get rid of those disgusting creatures. Mei Gan pointed to a beautiful mountain range near the beach. King Kong let out a low roar when he heard the words, which was considered a response to Mei Gan. Although there was still some vigilance and fear in its eyes, it was no longer wary of Mei Gan. King Kong looked at the little sissy in Mei Gan's arms reluctantly, and then turned and left. Mei Gan looked at King Kong's back, smiled bitterly, and said to Audrey, "My dear, look at how our daughter can even be convinced by this animal. What will she be like when she grows up? Isn't it good to be charming?" Audrey tilted her head and looked at the two most important people in her life. "Very good." Mei Gan shrugged. Then he turned to look at James and the others who were about to leave. "Are you going to leave without saying hello? So rude." Mei Gan handed little sissy to Audrey and said to the others, "Sir, we are just passing by." James raised his hands, then stopped and turned around and said, "TSK, TSK, TSK. It really looks like that." Mei Gan smacked his lips and looked at James. "Come and sit down. I won't eat you." Mei Gan walked to the campfire and looked at the others and said. At this time, the others could see Mei Gan's appearance clearly with the help of the firelight. You are the Lord Archmage." The black man with black framed glasses pointed at Mei Gan and said loudly, "It seems that I'm already very famous." Mei Gan nodded. "It's really the Ash Wizard, the superhero who helped humans solve the Big Apple War." The old lady holding the camera looked at Mei Gan carefully and said with certainty. Only then did the few people breathe a sigh of relief. After all, this is a superhero and should not hurt them. Therefore, Mei Gan has a very high status in the hearts of some people. Except for the white-haired old man. "Mr. Ash Wizard, why are you here?" The old lady walked to the campfire and asked. "I followed you here." "What? You followed us here? Then, you saw what happened to those soldiers. Then why didn't you save them? You should be able to do it with your ability." The black man with glasses immediately became excited when he heard the words. He watched several soldiers die in front of him. And the so-called superhero in front of him had the ability, but did not reach out, to save even one soldier. "Why should I save a group of invaders? If I were that gorilla, I would kill you too. You destroyed their peace. You are doing so-called scientific research. Maybe you don't know that your actions are killing them. So why should I save these people?" Mei Gan's face turned cold when he heard this. "They are soldiers defending our country. Funny, they have never protected me, but I have protected them. If it weren't for me, they might have died at the hands of aliens. I don't want to argue with you. Go away." Mei Gan waved his hand. However, at this moment, Mei Gan seemed to have noticed something, frowned, and looked into the distance. "P.S. Please vote. Chapter 94. We are the heroes who defend our country." Night. A fire was blazing in one place on Skull Island. The surviving black colonel and some soldiers were holding rocket launchers or guns and pointing them at King Kong, who was roaring in the fire. The black colonel showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth. There was no compassion in his eyes, only the joy of completing the mission. "When this big guy is transported to the general, I should be able to move forward a few steps." Countless flames surrounded King Kong, and the flames ignited King Kong's black hair. The flames burned him and made him roar in pain. "Quick, bring those tranquilizer guns and chains," the black colonel shouted to the soldiers behind him. However, he did not see that there was a soldier behind him who showed reluctance in his expression, and his eyes were looking straight at King Kong, who was surrounded by flames. The soldier struggled for a moment, and then made a firm decision with his eyes. The soldier turned the muzzle of his gun towards his superior and said, "Sir, please let it go. Without it, the natives will die." Seeing the soldier's action, the other soldiers pointed their guns at the soldier. "Soldier, you dare to disobey orders?" The black colonel's eyes flashed coldly and stared at him. "It is the guardian of this island and must be alive, sir." The soldier looked at his companions around him in panic, feeling a little scared, but still held the gun tightly in his hand. Seeing that some of his men were wavering, the black colonel said quickly, "Soldier, do you know how important this big guy is to our country? It can save so many lives of our people. As long as we have it, we will not be so helpless next time the Battle of the Big Apple happens, and we can only rely on those so-called undisciplined superheroes to solve it. Soldier, you must remember that we are the heroes who defend the country and maintain world peace, not those so-called superpowers who are scattered. When the time comes, only we soldiers will face the cheers, including you." The other soldiers listened to the beautiful picture described by the colonel, and all of them held their guns tightly, with eagerness in their eyes. The black colonel said high-sounding words, walked forward, grabbed the barrel of the soldier's gun with one hand, and then used both hands to take the gun from his hand, and then ordered several soldiers next to him to tie him up. "Now, fire the tranquilizer gun." The soldiers around heard the words and quickly pulled the trigger of the tranquilizer gun in their hands. "Puff puff puff," the black colonel said, and didn't care about the soldier anymore. He just glanced at the soldier tied to the side coldly, and then turned back to continue looking at King Kong, who was struggling. He just sneered and whispered, "Ignorant child, pa pa pa, it's a great speech. You shouldn't be a soldier. You should be a politician and fool the people who believe in you." A voice came and fell into the ears of these soldiers. The black colonel's face changed drastically when he heard the sudden voice, although it was too dark to see clearly. "Don't let anything happen now." Looking at King Kong, who was already full of anesthetic needles, thinking in his heart, if it was an uninjured King Kong, he might not be afraid of the anesthetic needles on his body. However, now it has not healed from the injuries of the bombardment and has just been burned by the fire. It is already a little powerless. King Kong's body is already shaking and is about to fall to the ground. As the voice fell, a group of people appeared beside the black colonel. It was Mei Gan and others. Just after Mei Gan instructed the black man with glasses, he noticed what was happening on King Kong's side, so he took the Quinjet back to the system space and teleported over with a few people. Mei Gan had marked King Kong's body, so he could teleport to King Kong's side at any time, as long as he wanted. I just happened to hear the speech of this black colonel, and couldn't help but make a sarcastic remark. "Who are you?" The black colonel looked at the people who suddenly appeared, and hurriedly raised his guns with other soldiers to be on guard, and asked at the same time, "Me? Can't you recognize me? It seems that I'm not famous enough. Maybe I'm the so-called superhero who is sloppy and undisciplined in your mouth." Mei Gan ignored the muzzles of the guns, but just walked towards the black man. "It's you, the magician." The black colonel's face changed drastically when he heard the words, and he looked at Mei Gan carefully, and then said in a low voice. Mei Gan did not reply, but just circled around the colonel for a few times, smacking his lips and saying, "TSK TSK. I didn't expect you to look like a boiled egg, and even this mouth is so talkative. I don't know what you are talking about. Please don't disturb us from executing our mission, Mr. Magician." The black colonel calmed down, stepped back half a step, and then said to Mei Gan in a low voice. Mei Gan did not reply, but walked back to the place where he just appeared, and said to Audrey, who had been standing there holding little Sissy, "Honey, try to absorb the flames surrounding King Kong." Audrey was stunned for a moment, and then she remembered the red fireball hanging on her chest. Then she took out the red fireball from her chest and gave little Sissy, who was moving around in her arms and reaching out to King Kong, to Mei Gan to hold. Then she raised the fireball and silently said to absorb it in her heart. In an instant, the blazing flames seemed to be attracted by something and gathered towards the fireball in Audrey's hand and injected into the fireball. After a moment, the flames burning here were completely absorbed by the fireball in Audrey's hand, leaving no sparks, and the darkness enveloped everyone again. The shaking King Kong finally couldn't stand the anesthetic and fell to the ground with a boom. The people standing behind Audrey were all stunned and staring at the red fireball in her hand, their hearts full of surprise. And some of the soldiers had flashing eyes and clenched their guns, thinking about whether they could seize the treasure that could absorb the flames, but after looking at Mei Gan standing there, they suppressed their greed. "It's boring. Tell me, who sent you to capture this big guy King Kong?" Mei Gan saw that Audrey had done it, and then asked the black colonel with some boredom. Originally, he wanted to tease this black man who looked very similar to Nick's boiled egg, but after listening to these boring words, he lost interest. "Catcher. This is a confidential mission. You have no right to know. Please get out of the way, Mr. Magician. We have to take this big guy back. This is our mission. We must execute it. Please don't force us to do it." The Black Colonel looked at the King Kong, who fell to the ground, and looked greedily at the fireball that Audrey put back on his chest, then opened the safety of the gun in his hand, pointed at Mei Gan, and said again in a deep voice. Although the Black Colonel's words were very tough, his trembling hands and his constantly retreating steps reflected his fear of Mei Gan in his heart. But for his future and his ambition, he was unwilling to give up the King Kong he had obtained. It seems that you want to die. Even if you don't say it, I can ask someone to check it out. That big guy's my designated pet. You heard it, so. Mei Gan looked at the muzzle in front of him. His face turned cold, and he said to the Black Colonel in front of him. However, before Mei Gan finished speaking, he noticed that a skull giant lizard was approaching rapidly, and its target was the King Kong, who was sleeping on the ground, looking for death. Chapter 95 Water Element. Night. The fire had gone out, and darkness once again enveloped the people by the lake. In the distance, a wave of water was coming rapidly, approaching King Kong. No one except Mei Gan was alarmed, and those soldiers, led by the Black Colonel, were still holding guns and rocket launchers, and staring at Mei Gan. Beware of the Ash Mage, who was famous all over the world. They were afraid that a lightning bolt would fall from the sky and turn them into ashes. The soldiers swallowed their saliva from time to time to relieve the panic and fear in their hearts. Even if they had guns in their hands, they still couldn't give everyone a sense of security. After all, the Ash Mage's reputation was earned in the battle in the Big Apple. Listening to the words spoken by Mei Gan, they tightened their weapons, and the less courageous ones wanted to pull the trigger. Mei Gan ignored the group of soldiers for the time being, but turned around and looked at the skull giant lizard that was rushing towards King Kong in the distance. The Archmage's staff suddenly appeared in Mei Gan's hand, and the blue light slightly outlined this area. Then, Mei Gan pointed the staff forward. The blue gem on the staff suddenly emitted a brilliant light. At this moment, not far from King Kong, many bubbles rose from the water, and countless water flows were converging towards the center of the bubbles. The water flow rose higher and higher, and a blue human-shaped outline appeared in front of everyone, like a giant gem statue with blue light. If it weren't for the blue water flow and the human-shaped outline constantly wriggling, it might really be a sapphire with a human shape. Summoning Water Element. The skill of Archmage Antonidas. A 5-meter tall blue water element stood in front, with a lot of water splashing under its feet. The water element had no facial features, only a pair of big hands clenched into fists. Above his head, water kept squirming and splashing. In the game, the water element can only use water flow to attack the enemy remotely, but the water element extracted by the system has both melee and remote combat, so the fingers that were originally missing are not for decoration. And now it is in the water. Its fighting power is doubled. The water element, which has already taken shape, turned around and faced Mei Gan, as if to determine the target of attack. Seeing the water element turning around, the soldiers took a few steps back again, and their guns were about to lose their grip. They thought Mei Gan summoned this monster to deal with them. The timid ones were about to pull the trigger at the monster. However, at this time, the Black Colonel reached out to stop them. His eyes looked at the place not far away, where the light emitted by the water element was shining, revealing the rising waves. Mei Gan ignored the soldiers behind him, and pointed his staff at the skeleton lizard that was getting closer and closer. Go. Water element, tear that monster to pieces for me, Gilulu. The water element made a sound, and then turned around, and faced the skeleton lizard that was rushing towards them. Bang! Suddenly, the water element exploded violently, and countless water droplets quickly scattered into the water, and disappeared in front of everyone. This -I and Shinshan made a puzzled sound, looking at the water element scattered in the water. It exploded before the fight started. Could it be that the magic was out of control? This is impossible. Everyone looked at each other, but the group of soldiers were gloating. The Black Colonel looked at Mei Gan, wondering if he would be injured by his magic. Then, if he caught him directly, wouldn't the credit be even greater? He was thinking about it. At this moment, bang! A huge two-legged monster was hit out of the water by a blue water column, and fell on a big tree on the shore. Turning over, the monitor lizard shook its head that was a little dizzy from being hit. Hiss! The skeleton monitor lizard spit out its long tongue, and its cold eyes stared at the water surface where the water column just appeared. The monitor lizard twitched its long tail behind it in a bit of annoyance. Invisible enemies are the most disgusting. In the past, they were the ones who attacked others by surprise, but now it was their turn to be teased. It would be great if everyone was like this King Khan with a bad brain. Swoosh, a water arrow suddenly appeared and flew towards the monitor lizard at a high speed. The monitor lizard had been on guard for a long time, and its long tail swung out violently, scattering the water arrow in the air. However, after the water arrow was scattered, a huge hand made of water flow stretched out from the water and slapped the monitor lizard. Above the monitor lizard's head, countless water droplets fell from the sky, landing on its body, soaking its huge body. Seeing that it could not escape the encirclement of the palm, the monitor lizard could only let out a shrill hiss, and then swung its huge tail towards the sky, hoping to slap the palm made of water flow in the air. However, it turned out that it was just a delusion. Boom. The palm made of water flow slapped the monitor lizard fiercely, just like slapping a fly, slapping the monitor lizard's huge body to the ground, and embedding it in the ground. After a moment, the palm made of water flow broke, scattered on the ground, and gathered into a puddle. At this time, the monitor lizard's head had been broken, and indistinguishable liquid flowed out and merged into the puddle, and it had no breath. Gilulu, the water element, gathered again on the sea surface, and the head without facial features kept shaking, as if regretting why this monster was so weak, and died in just a few hits. It was not easy to come out once, and I wanted to have fun, but it was gone just like that. Mei Gan could feel the water element's anger. Okay, water element, I will summon you next time and let you have fun. This time you go back first. Mei Gan comforted the water element with a smile. Gilulu, the water element, stopped shaking its blue head after hearing this, and turned into a stream of water, and spun around Mei Gan, then turned into water drops, and fell and dissipated in the air. After solving the skull monitor lizard, Mei Gan turned around, and looked at the group of soldiers. Thinking that there was nothing to say, he might as well solve these guys. Then, Mei Gan tapped the scepter in his hand on the ground, and a blue magic circle emerged, and Mei Gan and others disappeared on the spot. The bound soldier and King Kong disappeared together, leaving behind the black scientist with glasses. Just after Mei Gan and the others left, at the same time, huge vines stretched out from the ground and entangled the soldiers, like a giant python rushing out of the ground. In an instant, screams resounded under the sky. Bang bang. The Black Colonel was still able to suppress the fear in his heart a little, and use the gun in his hand to continuously attack the vines that entangled him. However, it was useless. Not even a trace of skin was damaged. The vines tied them up like this, and then there was no other movement. Except for the scientist, who was not tied up by the vines. The other soldiers did not reach an agreement. And they used all the methods, but it was useless. Why? He is obviously a hero. Why does he treat you like this? The black scientist screamed. At this moment, he resented the so-called hero. He is a devil, not a hero. Go to the assembly point and call the people who came to pick us up. If we can't go back, we must expose the devil's behavior and let everyone know his evil deeds, the Black Colonel said, staring at the scientist. Okay. He nodded frantically in agreement. However, it was too late. Two skeleton monitors rushed out of the woods. They were monsters even bigger than the monitors just now. After the monitors rushed out, they didn't stop at all. In the blink of an eye, they pounced on the only black scientist who was not tied up by vines. They opened their bloody mouths, bit the scientist, and then swallowed him. Then, the two monitors looked at the group of soldiers with greedy eyes and slowly approached. It's the last day of this month. Please vote. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96. What a coincidence. The next day, in the morning, there were several tents standing next to the Quinjet transport on the top of the mountain. They were given to James and his friends by Mei Gan. One of the tents was opened, and the Chinese woman Shan walked out of the tent. She looked around, and then carefully walked into the depths of the woods. When she saw the others who had not woken up yet, it looked like she was going to relieve herself. Not long after, Shan walked out of the woods, and when she came back, she washed her face. She took out the food that Mei Gan had given her last night and started to light a bonfire and make breakfast. If you want to talk about virtuous women, you have to be a Chinese woman. At the same time, the hatch of the Quinjet transport opened, and Mei Gan yawned and walked out of the transport. Seeing Shan, who was busy making breakfast, he quickly greeted her. Morning, Mr. Mei. Breakfast will be ready soon. Please wait a moment. Shan smiled and said in Chinese when she saw Mei Gan. They had already communicated in Chinese last night, so they were not surprised. Why don't you sleep a little longer? You must be exhausted these days. You have been running for your life. Mei Gan walked to the bonfire, sat down, and asked Shan, busying herself. I'm used to it. I usually get up at this time because I have to go to work, Shan said to Mei Gan while cooking porridge in the pot. That's right, it was porridge. It was the rice that Mei Gan brought. He was afraid that one day, when he took the Quinjet to a place and suddenly felt like having a picnic, he wouldn't have to buy ingredients again. Mei Gan's system space still had vegetables and meat. Even the pot that Shan used to cook porridge was brought by Mei Gan for her. By the way, do you work in New York? Mei Gan chatted casually with Shan. No, I work in Washington. I was drafted here this time. I didn't want to come here, but they found my uncle, Shan said angrily. Those American soldiers were so domineering. If it weren't for them, how could I have suffered such a punishment? But it was my uncle's best friend who found my uncle and asked her to come. There was no way my uncle owed that guy a favor. Who knew that this time she almost couldn't go back? Fortunately, she met Mr. Mei, which was also lucky. When she went back, she would ask her uncle to stay away from her friend. Anyway, the favor was paid. They threatened you. Mei Gan frowned. If that was the case, he would have to talk to the military. No, I came here because my uncle owed him a favor. Seeing Mei Gan's expression, Shan waved her hand and said, that's good. Actually, my uncle seems to have moved to the street next to where you live recently. He also said that he has a friend on your street. Mei Gan was stunned for a moment. It turned out that the friend Uncle Gan was talking about was Miss Shan's uncle. This was such a coincidence. That's such a coincidence. Your uncle's friend there just happens to be my partner. Really? That's such a coincidence. Shan replied with a smile. While the two were chatting, the others had woken up one after another. Audrey had already come to Mei Gan's side with little Sissy in her arms and listened quietly to their conversation. Mr. Mei, are we going back today? James came to Mei Gan's side after washing up and asked. Mei Gan had promised to take them back to the Big Apple last night, but they had to buy plane tickets. The ticket was 50,000 yuan, which was not expensive. No matter how small the mosquito meat is, it is still meat. Sooner or later, we have to go back anyway, so we can take a few people with us and let them take a Didi flight to earn some pocket money. After breakfast, help King Kong kill those disgusting bugs and then go back. Okay, thank you. James nodded after hearing this. Mei Gan smiled and did not reply. An hour later, after everyone finished breakfast and cleaned up the garbage, they asked King Kong to lead the way to the nest of the bugs. King Kong couldn't wait any longer. He stood at the bottom of the cliff and looked at Mei Gan with expectant eyes. Ever since Mei Gan helped him heal his wounds last night and said he would help him deal with his enemies, he stood at the bottom of the cliff waiting all night. He just went to find something to eat and left for a while. If it weren't for the fact that everyone still needed to eat breakfast, it would have dragged Mei Gan over there a long time ago. Let's go. Big guys, let's go to the nest of those guys now. Mei Gan walked to the big guy's side and patted his black nose with his hand and said, "Raw." King Kong growled and then put Mei Gan on his shoulder, then turned and walked away. Mei Gan did not bring anyone else with him. They would wait here for Mei Gan and King Kong to come back. It was useless to bring them with him. Just shouting 666. Just go over, throw a skill on the nest and you can leave. It doesn't take much effort. It's just a matter of a few minutes. The time it takes to travel is longer than that, not to mention it's not very far. Looking at the backs of King Kong and Mei Gan, little Sissy sat in Audrey's arms, waved to them, and babbled in her mouth. It was like saying goodbye to a person and a beast. Miss Audrey, little Sissy is so cute, Shan said with shining eyes looking at little Sissy in Audrey's arms. Thank you, Audrey heard Shan praising little Sissy, and hurriedly smiled and thanked her. Can I hug her? Shan walked to the side of little Sissy and asked softly. It was as if she was afraid of scaring little Sissy. Of course Audrey smiled and put little Sissy in Shan's arms. I wanted to hug little Sissy last night, but she was asleep at that time, and now I finally hugged her, Shan said happily. Looking at Shan holding little Sissy, the other people showed envy on their faces. Little Sissy's charm may have exploded. It seems like a hug. It seems that you like children very much, Shan. Yes, I think children are so cute. Miss Weaver, can you take a photo of me and little Sissy? Shan replied to Audrey, and then turned to the aunt who was chatting with James. Weaver's eyes lit up when she heard it. She had wanted to take a few photos for little Sissy for a long time, but she was afraid that Mei Gan would not agree, so she did not take the initiative to start taking photos. After all, it is impolite to take photos without permission from others, and the other party is the Archmage. Maybe taking photos for others without permission will only result in a scolding or a beating, but Mei Gan can't do that. It will really kill people. Okay, I'll be right there, Weaver responded excitedly. Her originally big face now looked even bigger when she laughed, worthy of being an old lady. Then this place became a photo studio, and everyone rushed to take photos with little Sissy, who became a star at just a few months old. In addition to the old man, James also took a photo, and after the three women took photos, they were like good sisters. After all, for women who love beauty, it is such a happy thing to have a friend with good photography skills. Don't you see how miserable those men who can't take photos for their girlfriends are despised? On the other side, King Kong strode towards the cave of the skull monitor lizard with a proud stride. Now it has a backer on its shoulders. In the past, it was the only giant beast that said it had not destroyed them. Now I have a big brother too, and I'll see how he kills you guys later. Let's settle the revenge for killing my parents today. Stepping on the lake water that was not even above his knees, King Kong's pace quickened again. Chapter 97 Volcano. In the morning, in the west of Skull Island, Mei Gan and his beast passed through a low-lying valley. Many large skeletons were scattered randomly on the ground, and at the bottom of the valley, two huge skeletons were lying there quietly. Next to the two large skeletons, there were scattered white bones of various sizes, some of which were animals and some of which were humans. There was also a white miasma floating in the sky. King Kong stood on a high place, looking at the two huge skeletons with a pair of sad eyes. Mei Gan stood on its shoulders and patted its neck to comfort it. King Kong seemed to understand what Mei Gan meant, blinked his big eyes, glanced at the two skeletons, and then continued to walk forward. Not long after, the man and the beast came to the bottom of a cliff, and a cave deep underground appeared in front of them. Next to the cave, there were countless large and small skeletons scattered, which were the bones left over by the skull monitor lizard. King Kong stopped next to a huge tree, and turned his head to look at Mei Gan. Mei Gan knew what it meant. That was the lair of the skull monitor lizard. Now, it was Mei Gan's turn to perform. Mei Gan nodded without saying anything. His huge mental power went to the cave. The scene inside the cave emerged in his mind. There were many caves scattered in all directions. There was a skull monitor lizard in each cave. There were about a dozen of them, big and small. It seemed that they were all here. Mei Gan raised his hand and patted King Kong's neck, and stepped forward with his right foot. The magic power in his body was running, and his body floated in the air. He raised his right hand, and waved it towards the cave in front. In an instant, a heat wave spread out with the cave as the center. The trees not far away were like being roasted by fire. They dried up in an instant, and the leaves turned yellow and fell to the ground. In King Kong's perception, there was a powerful force brewing in the cave. It quickly stepped back a few steps, and then looked at Mei Gan in the air again. Mei Gan fell back onto King Kong's shoulder and said, "Let's go. It's done." King Kong had no doubts, because the power had already begun to erupt. In the cave, the sleeping skeleton monitors were suddenly awakened by the power, and then they all rushed to the cave exit in a panic, but in the end they were all blocked in the huge passage. The power erupted so suddenly when they knew to give way to the big guys. However, it was too late. Boom. The powerful power erupted. The cave passages that extended in all directions suddenly appeared with magma, accompanied by a strong vibration from the ground. The fiery red magma flowed rapidly in the passage as soon as it appeared, and then rushed towards the skeleton monitors like a flood. The magma surged into the depths of the cave, and those monitors who knew they could not escape were desperately grabbing the walls of the cave, trying to dig a way to escape, but it was useless. The vibration made their heads dizzy, and they could not make any movements. They could only watch the fiery red magma rushing towards them. Their eyes, which were full of cruelty and coldness in the past, were replaced by fear. They could only let out weak roars. The skull monitors were submerged by the magma in the blink of an eye. Without any twists and turns, they were calmly eliminated in the cave without leaving a single hair. On the ground, the exit of the cave was slowly rising. At this time, streams of magma gushed out of the cave in trance, like a small volcano erupting. Then it slowly returned to calm, and the gushing magma turned into ashes and dissipated in the air, as if nothing had appeared. Only a raised hill was left. At the top of the hill, a black cave entrance was lying there quietly, without any life. Sensing the disappeared skull monitor, Mei Gan smiled. He did not dare to use too much magic this time, for fear that he would accidentally cause too much damage and destroy his designated holiday island. Volcano is the skill of the neutral hero Fire Lord. It is a skill with large-scale damage. If too much magic power is used, the Skull Island can be destroyed by accident, and it can only be a small mound. However, the magma in the cave is real damage. Originally, Mei Gan wanted to use war trampling to open the cave, and then deal with it one by one, but thinking that it would take too much time, he just threw a volcano down. Fortunately, the island was not damaged, and only some trees were damaged. It will be restored next year. Mei Gan patted King Kong's neck and said, "Big guy, I helped you deal with your enemies. I will build a holiday house here in the future. You have to help me protect it." Roar. King Kong opened his huge mouth, let out a low roar, and then hammered his chest with his hand. As if to say, everything is left to it. What an obedient big guy. Mei Gan happily praised this guy. It made it even more excited. Not long after, King Kong took Mei Gan back to the top of the mountain. The three women were still excitedly holding little Sissy and taking pictures. Women are really the same. They can't stop taking pictures. There is no circle of friends here for you to post. Mr. Mei, you are back. Are you done? James, who was chatting with the old man, saw King Kong and his eyes lit up. He hurried to the side of the cliff and asked, "It's done. Let's go back." Mei Gan jumped off King Kong's shoulders and replied with a smile. On the other side, little Sissy was finally freed. The moment she saw Mei Gan, the little guy had an expression of wanting to cry, and the pink little hands desperately stretched out in the direction of Mei Gan. It was like seeing a savior. Mei Gan walked forward with a bit of a laugh and held the little guy in his arms. Mei Gan seemed to hear the little guy sighing in relief. This should be an illusion. Little Cecile lay on Mei Gan's body, her eyelids fighting, as if she was about to fall asleep at any time. The three women tied the little guy. James and the other three men had already packed up their things. Since Mei Gan is back, he set off to return to the Big Apple. Before leaving, Mei Gan walked up to King Kong and said goodbye. King Kong was a little reluctant to leave, as he was the only beast left. He had enemies before, but now he has none. Roar. King Kong looked at the backs of Mei Gan and the others, growled, as if saying goodbye to them, and then turned around and prepared to leave. Seeing King Kong's somewhat lonely figure, Mei Gan felt a little reluctant, so he turned to King Kong and said, "Big guy, you look so lonely, how about I find you two companions?" King Kong paused when he heard this, then turned around and looked straight at Mei Gan. His eyes were full of expectation. Mei Gan smiled, and two magic circles rose from the ground, and two big guys appeared in front of King Kong. They were the two stupid guys that Mei Gan mentioned. Brown Bear and Porcupine. Looking at the two big guys in front of him, King Kong was full of curiosity. Mei Gan gave a few instructions to the three big guys, and then left without looking back. Seeing the Cringer disappearing before their eyes, the eyes of the two giant beasts, the porcupine and the brown bear, were filled with joy. Roar. The two beasts roared excitedly, just like the huskies who were able to run around happily after their master left. Chapter 98 Amulet. Big Apple, the parking lot of the block park. A Quinjet is slowly descending to the ground. Not long after, several people walked out of the cabin door, and they were Mei Gan and his group. We are finally back. It was really thrilling. This trip. Shan walked down the cabin, sighed with emotion after a long sigh of relief. It's quite exciting, isn't it? Aunt Weaver, who was standing next to her, turned her head and looked at Shan and smiled and continued. Shan didn't answer when she heard it, but just spread her hands, somewhat non-committal. Okay, everyone, we have sent you to the Big Apple. We say goodbye here. Remember to pay the money. Mei Gan put the Quinjet back into space, holding little Sissy, and said to several people, the most important thing is to pay the money. After saying goodbye to everyone, Mei Gan took Audrey's hand and walked towards the physical therapy center. It was just time for lunch, so they went to Aunt May's place to have a meal first. Not long after, Mei Gan and the other two arrived at the door of the physical therapy center. Seeing Mei Gan and the other two, Aunt May, who was sitting on the sofa waiting for them, immediately stood up and walked towards them, then hugged little Sissy in Mei Gan's arms. Little darling, you didn't miss Grandma May, but Grandma missed you so much. Your two playful parents didn't care how old you were and took you out to spend the night. Little Sissy was very happy to see acquaintances. She woke up immediately from her sleepiness, stretched out her little hand to touch Aunt May's face, and her little mouth made a babbling sound. Then she looked at Audrey aggrievedly and pouted her little mouth, as if she was complaining. Aunt May rolled her eyes at Mei Gan and the other two, then ignored them, and walked towards the dining table, while teasing little Sissy. Mei Gan was stunned. Is this little guy so smart? He has learned to complain. Audrey also opened her mouth, and then asked Mei Gan, what's wrong with little Sissy? Perhaps seeing her parents' embarrassing expressions, little Sissy's aggrieved expression immediately turned into a smile, clapping her hands and giggling. Hurry up and wash your hands and eat. What are you still doing downstairs? At this time, Uncle Khan's impatient voice came from the second floor. Several people hurried to the second floor. Uncle Khan and Evely were the only ones in the restaurant. Kato probably went back to his boss's place, and Peter had to go to school today. Linda had already eaten at the flower shop, and Evely had already brought her the meal. Since Aunt May held the little guy, she never let go, even holding him while eating, and even Evely and Uncle Khan wanted to take over but refused. The little guy's really spoiled. Half an hour later, after lunch, Mei Gan and Audrey walked towards the flower shop to take a shower. There was no place to shower on the transport plane. That won't do. Mei Gan has already planned to give the Quinjet to Tony to help him modify it. It would be best if it could be separated into 2 rooms. What the RV has, the transporter should have. At most, I can give him some money, but I guess Tony won't accept it, and he will feel that I'm insulting him. It's better to give him a bottle of life-saving potion. This way, it will be much more comfortable to travel next time, and you don't have to always have a bed in the space. On the other side, James and his 5 companions who had just walked out of the block were surrounded and taken away by a group of soldiers with guns. Not long after, several people were taken to a certain military area. Ross was frowning at the several people who had been separated in the interrogation room, then turned to look at the assistant beside him, waved to him, and motioned him to go for the interrogation. The assistant hurriedly walked into a compartment of the interrogation room. Not long after, Ross knew what happened on Skull Island. Looking at the report in his hand, Ross sighed deeply. Every time he wanted to catch a target, he would be blocked by others. Will he never be able to complete the super soldier plan in this life? Can that plan really succeed? He was very skeptical, but he had already boarded those guys' boat and had no way to get off. In fact, he really didn't see the possibility of the plan's success. Just as Mei Gan was about to lie down on the lounge chair on the second floor balcony, Aunt May's voice came from the door of the physical therapy center. May, look quickly. My god. Aunt May covered her mouth and looked at the little sissy standing in the doorframe in surprise. Beside her, Evely also stared at little sissy with wide eyes, full of surprise. As expected of May's daughter, she can actually stand up. Will she be able to run around the streets in a few days? I really hope that Mei and Kato's future children will be so smart. Evely has already tilted. Over there, Mei Gan heard Aunt Mei shouting and hurried to the railing and looked across. I saw little Sissy holding the door frame with one hand, standing there with two bare feet, waving one hand constantly and making a giggle laugh from her mouth. It can be seen that the little guy is very happy. Mei Gan's figure disappeared from the second floor, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of the two. Is Xiao okay? She is only a few months old. How can she stand? Originally, Uncle Khan wanted to use his own key to check Xiaosu's body, but he knew that there was a seal of Mei Gan in her body, so it was not easy to act rashly. After all, it was not an energy he was familiar with. Mei Gan did not answer, but just probed into Xiaosu's body with his mental power, and carefully checked the body of the little guy. After a while, Mei Gan found that the seal of the magic seed in Xiaosu's body had broken a small hole, and a trace of magic was floating out of the seal of the magic seed, strengthening the body of the little guy. After finding the reason, Mei Gan was relieved. But why did the seal have a hole? Fortunately, it was not big. This is also good, so that the little girl will not hurt anyone, and it can also strengthen her physique. She should be able to walk on the ground soon. The little girl was only a few months old. Looking at the amulet worn on the little girl's neck, it should be it that did it. Magic shield amulet. Every 4 seconds, it blocks a magical attack or non-magical attack for the wearer. This shield treats the seal as a magical attack, and there is no way to open the seal all at once, so it can only be worn away little by little, and a hole has been worn out in a few months. Mei Gan took off the amulet from little Sissy's neck, put it back into the space, and then put another necklace on her again. It was a dodge amulet with 2 shrunken protection rings on it. Dodge amulet. The wearer can avoid 50% of the attack, which can be stacked 15% has become 50%. That's it. That's much better. It's okay, Mei Gan said to Audrey who had already run over. Huh, that's good. I thought something happened. Audrey patted her chest and relaxed. The magic power in the little girl's body has begun to strengthen her body. In a few days, she will probably be able to walk. Don't be too surprised. Mei Gan smiled and pinched the little girl's face. Little Sissy quickly patted Mei Gan with her little hand in disdain. Wow, she found that she couldn't hit it, then pouted her lips and made an anxious cry. Don't mess around. Audrey slapped Mei Gan's hand away, then glared at Mei Gan and said, "Hey." Uncle Khan walked closer, picked up little Sissy on the ground, held little Sissy's pulse with one hand, and felt it carefully. After a while, Uncle Khan put down his hand and nodded, then walked inside with the little guy in his arms. Xiao will be here this afternoon. You guys go back and stay at home. Then he told the two of them and ignored Mei Gan and the others. Mei Gan shrugged and took Audrey back to the flower shop. Chapter 99. How can a man in the underworld be considered a scumbag? Night. A Ford vintage car quietly drove into the block. It was John's car. Audrey had been asking John to move in, and for this reason she took out some of her own savings to buy a house for John. John had never wanted to trouble his niece, but he couldn't stand Audrey's constant persuasion and urging, so he had to obey her, who told him that he only had such a relative. In the house that Audrey bought for John, the Mei Gan family was waiting for John's arrival. The furniture in the house had been bought and had been prepared before leaving for Skull Island. Seeing a car parked at the door, Mei Gan walked out with Audrey holding little Sissy. As soon as they walked out of the door, they saw John carrying a big bag and the dog walking out of the car. Uncle Audrey saw John and shouted hurriedly, "It's so late. Why are you still not sleeping? You don't need to wait for me. Just leave the key anywhere and tell me." John said expressionlessly at the two of them. "How can this be? We must wait for Uncle, and it's not even 10 o'clock now," Audrey said hurriedly. "I don't care whether you wait or not. I'm just worried that little Sissy didn't sleep well," John said, and walked into the house. Audrey was choked by this sentence and didn't know how to answer. Mei Gan, on the other hand, was struggling to hold back his laughter. Then Audrey glared at him. It was too late for John to come, so we had to wait until tomorrow night to hold a welcome party for him. The next morning, outside the physical therapy center, Kato got off his Black Beauty, tossed the car keys in his hand and walked into the physical therapy center with a relaxed look. There were only Uncle Kyan, Jessica and Linda in the physical therapy center. Aunt Mei was playing with little Sissy at the flower shop. "Look, our shy little man is here," Linda, who was bored and chewing melon seeds, said with a smile as she looked at Kato, who came in. Finally someone came. I didn't eat enough melon seeds, but I was almost full of dog food. I didn't know when Steve would come back. He had been out for several days. I had to go to the supermarket to buy vegetables. Linda, where's Evely? Kato, who blushed a little after being teased by Linda, asked with his head down. "Wow. Evely is waiting for you inside with her clothes off," Linda said to Kato with an ambiguous smile. Ahem. Stop kidding. Linda. Kato's head was already dripping with sweat. He still couldn't deal with Linda's lewd words. Every time he came, he would be teased. Now only Steve and Evely can save him. Linda is very well behaved around Steve, but Evely is not here now, and Steve has not been back for several days, so Linda has been letting herself go in recent days. She would say something lewd after every few words. "Hey, Kato, can you satisfy Evely?" Linda put a hand on Kato's shoulder and said seductively. "Linda." Evely's voice came from the door. "Oh. Mrs. Kato is back." Linda put down her hand and said to Evely, "This situation often happens, and everyone in the store has become accustomed to it." Soon, the noise of the two people's quarrels resounded throughout the physiotherapy center. Everyone just laughed and watched them quarreling. This situation often happened to the two people. Suddenly, two figures walked into the physiotherapy center. Jessica, who was chatting with Uncle Kyan on the sofa, saw them and frowned slightly. "Kyan, we are here, and you didn't miss us." Sophie and Eufina walked towards Uncle Kyan with what they thought was a very sexy step, with happy smiles on their faces. "Why are you here?" Uncle Kyan heard Sophie's voice and paused with his teacup. "We are customers. Why don't you welcome us? We have recharged money." Eufina walked quickly behind Uncle Kyan and touched Uncle Kyan's shoulder and said, "How can that be? You go in first and wait for me." "Okay, hurry up." After saying that, the two of them twisted their buttocks and walked into the massage room. Mei Gan, who had just walked into the physiotherapy center, felt a little choked up when he saw this scene. What made the innocent Uncle Kyan become a scumbag? The world is really going downhill. Seeing this, Jessica left silently without saying a word, just nodded to Mei Gan. "Uncle Kyan, you scumbag." Mei Gan sat on the sofa and said to Uncle Kyan, who stood up, "Don't talk nonsense. How can a man in the underworld be called a scumbag? At most, he is just lustful." Uncle Kyan walked into the massage room proudly with an expression that you don't understand. "That's ridiculous." Mei Gan was a little stunned after listening to Uncle Kyan's words. "That's ridiculous. Amazing. Hey, Mei, do you know where Steve went? Why hasn't he been seen for several days?" Linda came to Mei Gan and asked. Steve has been gone for several days. Maybe he was called on a mission by Nick. Didn't he tell you?" Mei Gan was a little confused. What was going on? He must have been called on a mission by Nick. "No, he just got a call and left in a hurry." Linda shrugged. "He should be back soon. Don't worry." Mei Gan stood up, patted Linda on the shoulder, and left. "I wanted to chat with Uncle Kyan, but who knew there were customers, so I had to go back." Kato took Evely away, and no one is visiting the flower shop yet. Go back and watch the flower shop draw. Today's draw hasn't happened yet. Mei Gan walked into the flower shop and saw Audrey and Aunt Mei playing with little Sissy. Without disturbing them, Mei Gan sat behind the cashier and summoned the system interface. The blue interface appeared in front of Mei Gan. Many of the small boxes in the turntable have turned gray. In addition to the books and potions that can be drawn repeatedly, there are also equipment and consumables. That means all the skills have been drawn, and only one skill has not been drawn. Since little Sissy was born, Mei Gan's luck in the lottery has changed from being an African to being a European emperor. He can draw a skill every now and then. No wonder he can draw all the skills so quickly, including the skills of wild monsters and soldiers. I wonder if the system can only draw books and potions after the last skill is drawn. Mei Gan silently said in his heart. Lottery. The turntable started to spin quickly. "Stop." Mei Gan said in his heart again, and the turntable slowly stopped, and the red pointer pointed to a green square. Oh my gosh. The last skill has been drawn, Mei Gan shouted excitedly. Mei, what's wrong? Mei Gan's voice startled the two people who were playing with little Sissy, and Audrey asked in confusion. It's okay, I just learned another magic. Mei Gan waved his hand at the two. The two ignored it after hearing this. They were not interested in these things. If they had that time, they might as well play with little Sissy. Mei Gan ignored them and looked at the system interface with great interest. The 50-cent lottery special effect appeared again, and Mei Gan was too tired to complain. A skill appeared on the interface, showing the name of the skill and its effect. Chapter 100 System Upgrade. In the flower shop on the block, Mei Gan was looking at the last skill that appeared on the interface with great joy. Hellfire, the ultimate skill of the undead dreadlord. There are several skills of the undead in this world that Mei Gan doesn't want to use. There is nothing else, it's just that it feels disgusting. Mei Gan is not very willing to use it. After all, he is a person with mild misophonia. For example, the ultimate skill of the big cockroach. Mei Gan doesn't want to use it. A lot of locusts are flying around the body, so disgusting. And the first skill of the dreadlord, which summons a large number of bats and insects to attack the enemy. Mei Gan is afraid that he will be infected with the virus. Moreover, Mei Gan has extracted the skill of the ghoul to eat corpses. Mei Gan didn't eat that day and couldn't eat. He felt sick when he thought about the extracted skills. The system didn't even change that skill, which made Mei Gan want to give a bad review to the guy who made this garbage system. A system without intelligence is garbage, and it doesn't even know how to please the host. In fact, Mei Gan's favorite game before crossing was the undead, but playing games and reality are two different things. Fortunately, there are still useful ones. The skills of the Lich are pretty good, and this Hellfire is different. Even if it is not for summoning the mighty Hellfire, it is also very useful to smash people. Mei Gan happily learned the Hellfire skill. Just after learning the skill, I saw that all the turntables on the system interface disappeared, and the entire interface was covered with black. What's going on? My system crashed. Why is the screen black? Didn't I just say a few more words to you? How did it become like this? It's so stingy. Mei Gan muttered to himself in a panic, and then felt the magic power in his body again. The magic power is still there. At this time, a progress bar with a blue border appeared in the middle of the dark screen. There is also a line of small text above the progress bar. System upgrading, the meaning of the text above the text. Good thing. I thought my system was gone. It turned out to be an upgrade, and I don't know what it will be like after the upgrade. And then I thought about it with some anticipation. I don't know if there will be skills or other extractions after the upgrade for RPG maps or tower defense. Thinking of this, Mei Gan was drooling. If it really happened, then I could do whatever I want. Ha ha ha. Just thinking about it made him excited. Then Mei Gan stared at the progress bar on the system interface in front of him with shining eyes. 10 minutes later, there was no movement on the progress bar. Half an hour later, there was still no movement on the progress bar. An hour later, Mei Gan closed his eyes tightly and made a slight snoring sound, but he had fallen asleep. On the other side, Audrey turned her head and accidentally saw Mei Gan sleeping soundly behind the cashier. Then, as if she had discovered something interesting, she came to the cashier and looked at Mei Gan, who was sitting upright and sleeping, with a curious look on her face. Audrey took out her mobile phone with a smirk and took a few photos of Mei Gan. Audrey opened the photo she had just taken with a smirk on her face. However, she was stunned. There was no figure of Mei Gan in the photo, only the scene of the cashier. It's fun, isn't it? How can I be a magician if you take a picture of me? Mei Gan's voice came. Audrey looked up, only to see Mei Gan looking at her with a smirk. Audrey knew that she was fooled by Mei Gan. Boring. Audrey put her phone on the cashier, turned around with a stern face and ran away. Look at your parents. They are so childish, aren't they? Little baby, Aunt May said, touching the little guy's head. After seeing little Sissy's innocent smile, Aunt May continued, but they are a good match. Hey, this woman, it's obviously you who teased me. Why do you seem to be wronged? Mei Gan blinked his eyes, a little confused. Don't think about it, or see how this system is going to be upgraded. It's been an hour, and it hasn't moved at all. Do you want me to open the super acceleration? Then you have to have a recharge window. After looking at it for a while, it was still a progress bar of 0%, and Mei Gan was a little confused. Mei Gan carefully examined the simple system panel, but found nothing. The equipment backpack and system space were still usable, but the lottery disc was gone. Forget it, never mind, things will work out when the time comes. It's okay even if I don't upgrade for the rest of my life. I'm already so powerful now, and if I upgrade again, I'll just bully others. This is good enough. Mei Gan closed the system panel, stood up, and stretched. But he found that the little chicken and the red baby were sneaking into the flower shop, as if they were afraid of being discovered by Mei Gan. The two beasts were lowering their heads, hiding at the edge of the cashier counter, and sneaking towards little Sissy. What do you two want to do? Are you in trouble? Mei Gan climbed onto the cashier counter, looked down at the two guys with a serious expression, and said. The two guys were shocked when they heard this, then they looked up and flattered Mei Gan, and then the little chicken said, brother, we just want to see that little Sissy didn't do anything bad. Yeah. That's it, tell the truth, or I'll pull out your hair, Mei Gan said viciously. Master, I don't have hair. Red baby raised a paw tremblingly and whispered. No hair, skin, and pull out the tendons. Mei Gan glared at the red dragon and said. No, master, I said, it was the little turkey who took me to bully the two black dogs. Frightened by Mei Gan, the red dragon shook out the matter. Damn red lizard, you dare to betray me. The little chicken jumped and said when he heard this. It was originally your fault, the little turkey. The two black dogs didn't give you food, so you went to steal fizz, you glutton. Red baby stared at the little chicken and replied with his eyes wide open. Did you eat it? Tell me, did you eat it? To the little chicken waved his two wings and said angrily. How dare you, little chicken. Tony has people bring you a lot of food every day, but you actually go and steal the food from the two wolves. Mei Gan stared at the little chicken with eyes wide open. There must be space in your stomach, right? You have to eat so much every day. You are really a glutton. I thought their food looked delicious, so I wanted to order some, but they were so stingy, so I had to beat them up. The little chicken said in a low voice, retreating towards Audrey and the others. And at this moment, two huskies ran into the store full of grievances, and their two pairs of eyes looked at Mei Gan, as if they were about to cry. Here comes the complaint. Okay, put away your disgusting expressions. Isn't it the little chicken that bullied you? I've already scolded it. Go back to your posts. Mei Gan walked up, patted the two wolves on the head, then turned around and glared at the little chicken and the two beasts. Woo woo woo. The two huskies rubbed Mei Gan's shoulders, then glared at the chick and ran to their respective positions. Next time you steal their food, I will pluck your feathers, Mei Gan said viciously, hitting the chick's head with his fist. Got it. The chick lowered its head and whispered. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.